A luxury cruise ship glides across the sparkling ocean. Top student Gao Chenyu confesses his love to Elin. The crowd cheers, comparing the couple to the Titanic. Uninterested, the MC turns away from the noisy crowd. He watches a survivalist, ignoring the public confession. Stretching, he finds survival shows much more entertaining. A sharp alarm interrupts the MC's quiet moment. Lightning strikes as a massive storm slams the ship. Panic spreads as students scramble to escape the deck. Clinging to the rail, the MC curses the Titanic comparison. Waves flood the deck as Qin Tian realizes he's trapped. He plants his foot firmly against the slick wooden deck. Qin Tian ignores the warnings and sprints past the roses. He lunges for a lifebuoy, barely catching the safety ring. A monstrous wave slams into the ship, engulfing the deck. The massive vessel tilts, surrendering to the ocean's violent power. In the darkness, the wilderness system is officially activated. Qin Tian washes ashore as the system puts rewards on hold. Gasping for air, our boy finally wakes on the sand. Sitting on the beach, Qin Tian realizes he actually survived. Qin Tian credits the lifebuoy for his narrow escape from death. Wringing out his clothes, he confirms the island is completely deserted. He calculates a grim 6-day wait for potential rescue teams. Fallen coconuts offer a glimmer of hope for his survival. A small pile of fruit becomes his only source of hydration. Using his survival knife, Qin Tian begins prepping his first meal. The dry coconuts barely provide enough milk to sustain him. Suddenly, a glowing system interface offers him a novice gift. Stunned, Qin Tian stares at the impossible 3D projection before him. With a trembling hand, he reaches out to claim the reward. Qin Tian scoffs at receiving digital books on a deserted island. Blinding light erupts as the system begins the data transfer. Knowledge floods his brain, leaving Qin Tian gasping in shock. His eyes sharpen as the survival data takes hold. The system identifies a coconut, proving the mental implants work. A blood-curdling scream suddenly shatters the island's silence. Qin Tian freezes, realizing he might not be alone here. He charges into the dense jungle toward the desperate cry. Tearing through the brush, he discovers a shocking sight. Lynn cowers in terror as a venomous snake strikes. System data confirms the predator is a lethal venomous snake. Paralyzed by fear, Elin screams for someone to save her. Qin Tian reaches out, challenging the serpent's lightning-fast strike. With expert precision, he snatches the viper by its neck. He hurls the viper away, warning of its crippling bite. Qin Tian turns away, bluntly telling her to get dressed. Shocked and blushing, Elin realizes her vulnerable state. She frantically orders him to keep his eyes closed. Dressed again, she explains her failed plan to dry off. Watching him, Elin realizes Qin Tian truly saved her life. Elin pouts, wondering why Qin Tian ignored her beauty. Blushing, she introduces herself as a fellow university student. Qin Tian remains stoic, revealing he is also a student. Overjoyed, Elin grabs his hands, celebrating their shared survival. Under the tropical sun, the reality of their situation sinks. Qin Tian shares his meager coconut supply to keep her hydrated. He asks for a phone, but Elin lost everything at sea. Qin Tian realizes they are both completely cut off from help. Despite the odds, Elin remains certain that rescue is coming. Her unwavering optimism surprises Qin Tian amidst the island's dangers. Qin Tian warns Elin that rescue teams won't arrive overnight. Terrified of predators, Elin agrees they desperately need a fire. Qin Tian rejects primitive wood drilling, suggesting they scavenge the beach. An hour later, the pristine beach offers no ship debris. Qin Tian senses an unnatural isolation before spotting a glimpse. Elin dismisses a discarded plastic bottle as useless island trash. Qin Tian stops her, realizing the bottle is a survival tool. He claims the bottle, leaving Elin baffled by his excitement. Qin Tian prepares a hearth, ready to use the bottle. He recalls fire statistics, planning to turn sunlight into flame. Qin Tian uses the bottle to focus sunlight onto kindling. The water-filled plastic acts as a deadly efficient magnifying glass. Success, a roaring fire brings a spark of hope to Elin. Night falls, leaving the survivors alone under a cold moon. Fear creeps in as Elin questions their chances of survival. Qin Tian puts on a brave face to stabilize her mentality. He lies about their rescue timeline to keep her spirits up. Elin panics as Qin Tian prepares the snake for dinner. The predator becomes the prey in this brutal island hierarchy. With a steady hand, he begins prepping their first protein. Qin Tian roasts the snake, offering Elin a protein-rich dinner. Disgusted, Elin vows she would rather starve than eat a reptile. Qin Tian ignores her pride, knowing hunger will eventually. He feasts loudly, ensuring Elin hears every delicious bite. Elin turns away, but the savory aroma is impossible to ignore. Qin Tian continues his performance, praising the snake's incredible flavor. Suddenly, Elin snaps, ordering him to stop his taunting feast. Her pride crumbles as she snatches a skewer for herself. One bite is enough to turn her into a fan. Amidst the meal, Qin Tian worries about his deactivated survival system. The system rewards Qin Tian with points for lighting the fire. He fakes a bug scare to hide the glowing interface. Elin worries about their rescue, unaware of the digital screen. Qin Tian decides to keep his secret to avoid being researched. Since Elin is oblivious, he freely explores the system store. He learns points can be traded for vital survival gear. The interface responds to his thoughts, confirming a neural link. He browses advanced skills and knowledge books for future use. A mysterious, high-priced book catches his eye and makes him blush. Qin Tian scoffs at the suspicious item, closing the store menu. Qin Tian realizes his 100 points are worthless in the expensive shop. Without active quests, he decides exploration is his only path forward. Night falls over the island as the moon rises high. Resting by the fire, he calculates their nutritional needs for survival. He plans a morning scavenge for protein along the shoreline. Sitting up, he observes Elin resting nearby in the sand. Her peaceful sleep proves she finally trusts him with her life. He settles in, leaving further planning for the morning light. A sudden mysterious blue light streaks across the dark sky. Qin Tian bolts awake as a system alert demands his attention. Qin Tian shivers as a sudden, unnatural chill grips the. He spots Elin nearby, her body trembling violently in her sleep. Panicked, he shakes her, fearing the cold will claim her life. Her eyes flutter open, signaling a narrow escape from the abyss. Relieved, Qin Tian confirms she hasn't slipped into a deadly shock. Elin bolts upright, screaming as she misinterprets his close proximity. She lashes out, accusing her savior of having predatory intentions. Disgusted by her lack of trust, Qin Tian turns his back. He offers a blunt ultimatum: join the fire or freeze to death. Reality hits as Elin shivers, finally feeling the biting night. Qin Tian and Elin shiver as the island temperature plummets. Thin clothes offer no protection against the equator's freezing nights. Qin Tian breaks the silence, calling out to a freezing Elin. He suggests hugging for warmth, but Elin immediately rejects him. Silence falls as they sit apart by the flickering fire. Elin battles her pride, realizing the cold is becoming lethal. She acknowledges that without Qin Tian, she'd already be dead. Suddenly, Elin stands up, her mind made up for survival. She orders him to look away as she begins undressing. Recalling survival tropes, she prepares for skin-to-skin contact to survive. Qin Tian explains skin-to-skin contact is unnecessary with thin clothes. Blushing, they agree to a simple hug for shared warmth. He tentatively reaches out, placing a hand on her shoulder. Qin Tian pulls her close, sharing body heat by the fire. Elin finds comfort in the warmth of Qin Tian's embrace. Golden light breaks over the horizon as the sun rises. Elin wakes to the breathtaking view of a tropical dawn. She cheers for daybreak, her hope renewed by the light. The vast ocean sparkles under the first rays of morning. Qin Tian sprints toward the low tide to scavenge for food. A sudden scream echoes across the rocky shoreline. Elin panics as a crab clamps onto her finger. Qin Tian acts fast, crushing the predator with a stone. Their morning haul promises a feast of fresh seafood. He expertly preps the crabs, discarding the tough shells. Elin protests the waste, craving every bit of meat. She pouts, claiming her share of the hard-earned catch. Qin Tian warns that overindulging leads to severe stomach pain. Over breakfast, he plans their move into the forest. He knows the beach's freezing winds are a death sentence. Qin Tian explains the forest offers better resources for long-term survival. Before moving, he insists on gathering water and setting a signal. Elin fears the towering trees, but Qin Tian remains confident. He begins removing his belt, causing a blushing Elin to panic. Using his belt, he crafts a makeshift climbing aid. With a knife between his teeth, he scales the palm trunk. The climb is grueling, testing his strength against the slick surface. Reaching the summit, he warns Elin to clear the landing zone. He hacks away, sending a bounty of fresh coconuts tumbling. They harvest the juice, finally securing a vital supply of hydration. Elin complains about the heavy coconuts, but Qin Tian insists they're vital. He warns that overconsumption causes illness, prompting Elin to drop them. Leaving an SOS signal behind, they venture deep into the jungle. The dense canopy swallows the sunlight as they push further inland. Qin Tian misses his bed, realizing survival shows aren't so fun anymore. He senses hidden eyes watching them as Elin asks for water. Elin drinks greedily, unaware of the growing tension in the air. Qin Tian demands she keep the bottle rim clean for hygiene's sake. He drinks carefully while Elin questions his constant, watchful scanning. She notices his focus on the bushes, sensing he's hunting for something. Qin Tian identifies the snake, hinting at a nearby freshwater source. Elin questions how he can find water in this massive jungle. He points out a game trail carved by thirsty animals. Elin realizes the logic, earning a backhanded compliment from Qin Tian. She pouts, sensing his praise is actually a subtle jab. Qin Tian admits his survival skills are mostly theoretical, not practical. He grows anxious, needing water before the noon heat hits. Elin stops, asking if he hears a noise in the distance. His eyes sharpen as he recognizes a specific, promising sound. Grabbing her hand, Qin Tian charges toward their potential salvation. Shimmering water, they finally find a river deep in the jungle. The clear stream flows steadily, offering a vital survival lifeline. Elin cheers, celebrating their victory over the island's brutal thirst. Qin Tian washes up, relieved they found water before high noon. Elin hesitates, staring at the cool water cupped in her hands. He stops her, warning that raw water is a bacterial death trap. A sudden rustle in the brush puts Qin Tian on high alert. He rejects the riverbank, fearing predators and sudden flash floods. They find a flat, clear clearing, the perfect spot for a camp. Qin Tian hands her a knife, assigning her to gather supplies. Qin Tian gathers damp wood, planning to dry it for future use. Using the sun, he ignites a fire to build their shelter. His small knife is useless for cutting trees for a tent. A nearby stream offers the perfect resource for crafting primitive tools. Recalling survival shows, Qin Tian hunts for stones to make an axe. He smashes the rocks together, hoping for a sharp, usable edge. The shard is sharp, but he lacks time for a full axe. Time is running out as the afternoon sun begins to dip. He hacks away at a sapling, testing his new primitive tool. Exhausted, Qin Tian fells the tree after a grueling half-hour struggle. The sun dips low, painting the sky in crimson. Qin Tian races against time, hauling his heavy harvest. Childhood chores pay off as he carries 30 kilograms. He returns to camp, greeted by Elin's relieved cheers. Elin presents a massive haul of fresh banana leaves. With materials gathered, the construction of their shelter begins. Qin Tian uses tough bark to secure the wooden frame. He explains the mechanics of a sturdy one-sided tent. Elin assists as he prepares the leaves for roofing. His knife flashes, sharpening stakes to anchor their home. Qin Tian hammers the sharpened stakes deep into the earth. He leans the leaf-covered wall against the wooden frame. Elin stares at the flimsy shelter, her disappointment clearly visible. He explains the design reflects fire heat for maximum warmth. The system grants 1,000 points for his trash tent construction. Elin grows suspicious as Qin Tian freezes before the interface. He laughs off the system's insult, hiding his digital secret. Using the fire, he boils river water in the bottle. Elin drinks greedily, finally quenching her thirst with safe water. He reminds her to maintain hygiene as they share resources. Shelter secured, Qin Tian worries about their dwindling food supply. The distant beach makes seafood a difficult daily chore. He plans a trek to the banana jungle tomorrow morning. A sharp sting on his arm interrupts his thoughts. Elin identifies the culprit, a swarm of aggressive jungle mosquitoes. Qin Tian warns that these pests carry deadly island fevers. Terrified, Elin begs for help as the swarm closes in. Qin Tian whistles, drawing the bloodthirsty insects toward himself. With the swarm distracted, he prepares a primitive repellent. He tosses green leaves onto the fire, creating thick smoke. Thick smoke billows, creating a protective barrier against the swarm. Qin Tian coughs, using primitive wisdom to repel the insects. Under a cold moon, the jungle's shadows hide unknown threats. The shelter holds firm, trapping heat against the night chill. Qin Tian warns of predators, suggesting a rotating night watch. Exhaustion wins as Elin drifts off while sitting up. With Elin unconscious, the burden of protection falls on him. To pass the hours, he crafts rope from raw bark. A tropical bird heralds the arrival of a new dawn. Elin wakes refreshed, unaware of the long night's labor. Elin wakes early, admiring Qin Tian's newly crafted bark rope. Exhausted, Qin Tian demands she handle the next night watch. Elin apologizes for oversleeping, promising to do her part tonight. Qin Tian remains skeptical, doubting her focus during the long nights. At the riverbank, he asks where the banana jungle lies. Elin points downstream, though her distance estimate is hilariously wrong. The system identifies wild raspberries, highlighting their various health benefits. Qin Tian presents the berries, tempting a hungry and curious Elin. He encourages her to try one, testing the jungle's fruit. One bite leaves Elin reeling from the intense, sour flavor. Qin Tian shrugs off the sour taste, citing seasonal ripening. Deep in the brush, they discover a grove of wild bananas. The sight of the fruit promises a much-needed breakfast. Elin worries about the height, questioning how they'll reach them. Qin Tian prepares a weighted rope, fearing the plant's stability. With a precise throw, he launches the stone toward the target. The rope loops perfectly around the heavy bunch of fruit. Gritting his teeth, Qin Tian puts his full weight into the pull. The struggle intensifies as the stubborn plant resists his strength. Success, the entire tree crashes down, delivering their morning feast. Elin checks on Qin Tian, relieved the soft leaves cushioned his fall. Qin Tian offers a banana, but Elin suspects another poison test. Playing the slighted gentleman, Qin Tian peels the fruit himself. He takes a bite, only to find the fruit rock hard. Qin Tian realizes these wild bananas are completely inedible. Packed with seeds, the unmutated fruit offers no nutrition. He tosses the fruit, promising a different kind of meat. Confused, Elin wonders how a tree can produce meat. Qin Tian beckons her closer to reveal his hidden prize. He presents a fat worm, shocked by Elin's calm curiosity. Qin Tian explains banana worms pack more protein than buffalo meat. He roasts the larvae on a flat stone over the fire. With makeshift chopsticks, he announces the meal is finally ready. Elin is shocked by the flavor, comparing it to rich tamale. She declares the worms far superior to the previous snake dinner. Elin reveals her adventurous palate, surprising Qin Tian with her bravery. She eagerly grabs the rope to assist with his next plan. Elin panics as Qin Tian carves their only bottle into pieces. She stares in confusion, unable to grasp his strange design. He explains the modified bottle is a trap for stream fish. Qin Tian confirms the plastic bottle is their new fishing tool. An inverted funnel design ensures fish enter but never escape. Elin watches as he demonstrates the easy in, difficult out principle. The system rewards his ingenuity with another 200 survival points. Elin worries about hydration now that their only bottle is gone. He uses heated stones to boil water inside a coconut shell. Explaining indirect heat transfer, he prepares to head for the shore. They submerge the trap, using wild bananas as effective fish bait. He chooses a shady, plant-rich spot where fish naturally congregate. Suddenly, Elin freezes, catching a mysterious scent on the jungle breeze. Qin Tian catches a familiar scent drifting through the jungle. He calls out, struggling to keep pace with a focused Elin. The aroma intensifies as Elin discovers a lush, green patch. Wild mint, the perfect natural defense against the island's deadly mosquitoes. Qin Tian plans to transplant the herb to secure their camp. Elin cheers, urging him to harvest every single available stalk. With arms full of mint, they begin the trek back. At the shelter, they work together to establish a protective perimeter. Qin Tian carefully beds the mint into the rich islands. Exhausted but safe, they rest, finally free from the buzzing swarm. Qin Tian orders Elin to rest before their next scavenge. The system rewards his stone hammer with 200 points. He realizes crafting tools is a goldmine for survival points. Confidence grows as he finds the island's resources easily accessible. Elin watches, baffled by his joy over a simple rock. They reach the shore only to find their coconuts destroyed. Elin fears they aren't the only ones on this island. Qin Tian notes the shells were torn by non-human strength. He mocks her fear of lions, citing their carnivorous nature. A mysterious trail reveals a creature that specifically hunts coconuts. Elin has a lightbulb moment, identifying the coconut crab. Qin Tian confirms, noting the tracks lead to their target. They follow the distinct trail carved into the beach sand. Reaching the end, Qin Tian tells a confused Elin to look up. High above, the world's largest land arthropod clings to a palm. Elin's eyes sparkle with hunger, eyeing the massive, meaty prize. She questions how they'll reach the crab from the ground. The crab descends, but Qin Tian remains calm, telling her to wait. Panic sets in as the crab turns and climbs back up. Qin Tian smirks, knowing the coconut thief is finally cornered. Elin recoils, disturbed by Qin Tian's sinister, calculating grin. The crab effortlessly shreds a coconut like a banana. Qin Tian looms over the creature with predatory intent. He steals the opened fruit, ordering the crab to continue. Fuming with rage, the crab cracks open another coconut. Qin Tian snatches the second prize, praising his free labor. The crustacean's fury peaks as it realizes it's being used. Elin realizes Qin Tian spared the crab just for work. He binds the thief, turning the predator into tonight's dinner. They race against sunset, hauling their massive coconut bounty home. Elin collapses under the weight of their heavy coconut haul. Qin Tian watches the tide recede, mourning lost fishing time. Fear takes hold as Elin worries the rescuers abandon them. Qin Tian notices her spiraling, his focus shifting from the hunt. Elin reacts with shock as the reality of isolation sinks. He reassures her, clinging to the hope of a week-long rescue. With the sun dipping low, they push back toward camp. Internally, Qin Tian counts the days, feeling the pressure mount. At the river, a golden sunset reveals their first trapped prey. Their makeshift trap works, yielding a small but vital catch. Qin Tian preps the fish, planning to use intestines as bait. He resets the trap, banking on the bottle's durability for reuse. The system pings 500 points for a successful fishing mission. With 2,000 points banked, the commercial shop finally unlocks. Back at camp, Elin builds a massive stove for their prize. The crab roasts as Qin Tian warns against relying on traps. They feast on sweet coconut-infused meat, savoring every rich bite. Qin Tian heads to bed, leaving Elin in charge of midnight. Under a silent moon, the jungle's nocturnal dangers begin to stir. Gripping a stone hammer, Elin trembles at every shadow's movement. A sudden touch on her shoulder sends Elin into shock. Terrified, she swings her stone hammer, nearly striking Qin Tian. Qin Tian calms her, insisting she sleep while he watches. Elin hesitates, offering to finish her shift despite her exhaustion. He jokingly begs for mercy, fearing her lethal stone hammer. With Elin asleep, he accesses the system's 2,000-point shop. Silence falls over the camp as the jungle night deepens. He stirs mint into the boiling water using makeshift chopsticks. Ash clouds the liquid, but Qin Tian knows it's safe. He drinks deeply, trusting the fire to kill any bacteria. Qin Tian chews wild mint to fight off exhaustion. A sudden sleep talk from Elin catches him off guard. Tears fall as Elin's subconscious reveals her deep terror. Her cheerful mask hides a fragile, self-hypnotized survival instinct. Qin Tian fears her spirit will shatter within a week. He turns to the system shop to secure their future. 3 vital survival guides each cost 2,000 points. Greed wars with logic as he weighs his limited options. He chooses the crafting manual to master primitive tool making. The system begins the data transfer, flooding his mind. Qin Tian envisions mastering pottery and bows for long-term survival. A mysterious lucky wheel offers rare skills for 1,000 points. Rewarded for his first trade, Qin Tian earns a free spin. With no losing slots, a high-tier prize is finally guaranteed. Brimming with confidence, he prepares to test his legendary luck. He strikes the interface, setting the digital wheel into motion. The needle lands perfectly on the elite cheetah speed talent. He celebrates hitting a 10,000-point jackpot with a single spin. Confusion strikes as the system prompts him to activate the prize. His joy turns to rage. The jackpot is just a temporary trial. Qin Tian curses his luck as the system baits more spins. He claims the trial reward, knowing free items are essential. A new day begins as sunlight pierces the dense jungle. Elin wakes up, finding herself alone in the primitive shelter. Panic sets in as she searches for any sign of him. Qin Tian returns with fresh fish, easing her abandonment fears. Over breakfast, he promises to communicate before leaving her again. He gives cryptic instructions about hygiene and protecting the stream. Elin explodes in frustration, demanding a proper shower instead. Qin Tian finally understands her struggle with the island's grime. Qin Tian ignores his own stench, prioritizing food over hygiene. He leaves Elin at camp to scout for more resources. Deep in the woods, a massive tree catches his eye. He finds horseshoe fungus, useful for fire but completely inedible. Qin Tian relies on the system to filter out poisonous mushrooms. Unknown berries tempt him, but he refuses to risk poisoning. A sudden rustle in the brush puts him on alert. A wild rabbit bolts, catching Qin Tian by surprise. He calculates the rabbit's speed, knowing a chase is futile. Qin Tian winds up, launching his hammer at the fleeing prey. Qin Tian hurls his hammer to distract the rabbit. He shuts down his brain, relying on pure instinct. The rabbit zigzags away as he dives for cover. Frustrated, he compares the creature's speed to a cartoon. Giving up the hunt, he heads back to camp. Confusion sets in as he loses his way home. Wet mud preserves his footprints, providing a clear path. He returns to camp, but Elin is still missing. A blood-curdling scream shatters the jungle's morning silence. Qin Tian races toward the river, fearing the worst. Elin screams in terror as a snake-like shadow circles her. Qin Tian dives into the river to save her. He lunges forward, snatching the slippery predator with bare hands. Qin Tian laughs, revealing the snake is just a golden eel. The system confirms the eel is non-poisonous and highly nutritious. Flustered and exposed, Elin demands he leave her alone immediately. Qin Tian retreats to the trees, standing guard against further threats. He marvels at the eel's massive size, a product of isolation. Elin dresses quickly, mortified by the thought of being seen. Qin Tian waits patiently, ready to head back with their prize. Elin realizes Qin Tian stayed close to ensure her safety. Caught off guard, she demands to know why he's staring. Qin Tian blushes, admitting she looks beautiful in the light. The sudden compliment leaves Elin completely flustered and speechless. Overwhelmed by embarrassment, she flees back toward the camp. Elin wonders why his simple words affected her so deeply. Alone, Qin Tian smiles, surprised by his own rare sincerity. The system reveals advanced guides for cooking, plants, and traps. He prepares to dive back in, wary of other predators. Hanging his clothes, he focuses on securing more island resources. Qin Tian vows to clear the river of every eel. He scans the muddy bank for hidden underwater burrows. Eels carve nests deep within the wet riverbank mud. A small, dark opening reveals a potential eel hideout. He explains the dual-door design of a typical eel nest. One door provides air while the other leads to water. He blocks the bottom exit to prevent a watery escape. Reaching in blindly is risky with crabs and snakes nearby. Lazy snakes often hijack these burrows for their own use. He crafts a lure, remembering a terrifying childhood encounter. Qin Tian searches for bubbles, the telltale sign of breeding eels. Since it's spring, he must hunt the muddy burrows directly. He lowers a grass lure, hoping his scent flushes out prey. Whether it's a snake or an eel, everything is dinner tonight. The line suddenly snaps taut as something bites the lure. Qin Tian grins, feeling the heavy weight of a massive eel. He puts his back into it, fighting the creature's strength. With a powerful heave, he drags the thrashing eel into light. He slams the prize down, ending the struggle with one blow. Elin cheers at camp, celebrating their newly secured, stable food supply. Qin Tian concludes his hunt, certain the river is empty. He marvels at the eel's size, far exceeding normal species. Elin worries about waste, questioning how they'll finish the feast. Qin Tian remains silent, his mind already calculating a solution. He begins constructing a primitive wooden frame near the fire. Preservation is key, he plans to smoke the meat for longevity. Elin assists, handing over the heavy, slippery catch for processing. He hangs the eels, explaining the complex art of smoking. A few hours of heat will secure their food for months. Elin watches in awe, struck by his relentless survival expertise. Elin's face flushes, still reeling from Qin Tian's unexpected praise. Morning mist clings to the dense, unforgiving island canopy. Qin Tian pushes through wet grass, his clothes soaked by dew. He finds his star-shaped carving, a vital navigational lifeline. With eel supplies gone, he sets his sights on rabbits. 2 days prior, he dismantled their shelter for an upgrade. Elin assists as they erect a sturdier, more spacious frame. Their new leaf-covered home offers superior protection from the elements. Back in the present, he tracks a rabbit's path. He analyzes the terrain, knowing the lush grass hides his prey. Qin Tian knows finding the burrow is his only chance. He finally spots a hidden opening beneath a massive tree. Crouching low, he inspects the dark, narrow entrance for activity. He recalls the rule, rabbits always build multiple escape routes. To trap them, he seals 3 of the 5 exits. With 2 holes left, he prepares to smoke them out. He ignites the horseshoe fungus, though its burn time is limited. Smoke billows as he waits for the prey to bolt. Suddenly, a brown blur bursts from the grass at high speed. Qin Tian lunges, his hand snapping shut on the fleeing target. Qin Tian catches a small rabbit, disappointed by its size. Suddenly, a second rabbit bolts from the smoky burrow. His eyes widen as he realizes more are hiding inside. He suspects a whole family is trapped in the nest. Peering into the darkness, he confirms his lucky hunch. 3 more rabbits huddle together, cornered by the smoke. Later, he hauls 3 prizes back, mourning 1 escapee. Success fuels his spirit as he nears the camp. Elin celebrates the catch while Qin Tian praises her ropes. He prepares to head riverside to process their fresh meat. Elin shields the rabbit, declaring it too cute to eat. Her tone shifts, suggesting they fatten the prey for later. Qin Tian's sweat drops, realizing her survival instinct is quite ruthless. She chooses survival, planning to feast on the largest rabbit. The sun sets, painting the island sky in fiery hues. At the river, Qin Tian meticulously cleans the gamey meat. He saves the tough wild fur for future crafting needs. Night falls as Elin complains about the meat's pungent odor. Qin Tian bites in, realizing the stench is truly unavoidable. Elin happily devours fish, leaving the stinky prize to him. Elin celebrates the 7th day, certain rescue is coming tomorrow. Qin Tian feigns joy while mentally preparing for a long stay. After dinner, Elin relaxes while Qin Tian begins a strange task. He prepares a primitive bow, intent on mastering fire-starting techniques. Elin points to their existing fire, baffled by his redundant effort. He prioritizes skill building, knowing every survival technique is a life. He weighs 5 primitive methods, seeking the most reliable ignition style. Choosing the wooden bow, he begins the grueling friction process. Smoke rises as the wood grinds, signaling a successful attempt. Qin Tian coaxes the embers, leaving Elin questioning his sanity. Qin Tian succeeds, sparking a flame that amazes Elin. He lies about the cage to keep her spirits up. Qin Tian watches her, fearing her spirit is finally breaking. An hour later, the horizon remains empty of rescuers. Refusing to move, Elin settles onto the hot sand. Qin Tian prepares for another night, gathering vital supplies. As sunset nears, he practices his new fire-making skill. He hones his skills while Elin waits in silence. Panic rises as she questions if she miscounted the days. Terror consumes her as the fear of abandonment takes hold. Qin Tian watches Elin, his concern growing as she spirals. He reaches out, firmly grasping her trembling hands. Elin breaks down, certain they are destined to die here. Tears stream as she begs him to deny the truth. A sharp slap rings out, cutting through her hysterical panic. Stunned, Elin clutches her face, questioning his sudden violence. Qin Tian softens, urging her to release her bottled-up grief. She collapses into him, mourning the rescuers who never came. He holds her close, promising she won't face this alone. Under the vast starlight, they find solace by the fire. A sharp slap echoes through the quiet island morning. Qin Tian clutches his stinging cheek as Elin demands answers. She laughs, thanking him for snapping her out of hysteria. Elin playfully retaliates, claiming every slap must be repaid. Qin Tian smirks, teasing her as she struggles for words. Flustered, Elin pivots to the river's unusually high water. He explains the shifting tides, lecturing her on island mechanics. Calculations reveal a long wait before the next low tide. Qin Tian preps breakfast, planning their afternoon trek to the river. 1 week in, Elin wonders if rescuers are even coming. Qin Tian observes Elin, noting her emotional dam finally broke. Elin mentions legal death, but her internal pressure has lifted. He justifies the slap, knowing rescue efforts will eventually fade. Elin demands more optimism, tired of his grim survival logic. He proposes building a boat to escape the island themselves. A heavy silence falls as Elin processes his bold plan. She deflects with a blush, ordering him to catch seafood. Back at camp, the sturdy leaf-covered roof provides reliable shelter. Qin Tian checks the cage, relieved their rabbit prizes remained. He notes larger prey would have easily broken the cage. Qin Tian orders Elin to guard their rabbits during chores. Elin grills fresh seafood over a flat, heated stone. He insists she eat first while he maintains his watch. Qin Tian warns her to save the shells for future tools. He calculates their seafood haul will only last 2 days. Elin notices his exhaustion as he plans their next hunt. Exhaustion finally takes hold as he retreats for a nap. Elin feels guilty, realizing he sacrificed sleep for her safety. A vibrant sunrise signals the start of another survival day. Qin Tian wakes, ready to face the island's relentless challenges. Qin Tian wakes up, still feeling the weight of exhaustion. Elin explains she let him sleep to ensure his recovery. She insists he rest, but Qin Tian has other plans. He heads out, tracking the tide to maximize resource gathering. The jungle remains dense and unforgiving as he pushes forward. 2 hours of searching yield only a handful of berries. Judging by the sun, he calculates his distance from camp. He pivots toward the dunes, racing against the shifting tide. A sudden movement in the brush catches his sharp gaze. He bolts forward, stunned by an impossible discovery on the island. Qin Tian stumbles upon a massive, dense bamboo forest. He swings his primitive axe, striking the green stalks. Bamboo is the ultimate resource for crafting advanced tools. The resilient wood vibrates, absorbing and reflecting his strikes. With a loud crack, the first stalk finally topples. Numbness grips his hands as he eyes potential food. Hours pass as he tirelessly harvests the stubborn wood. Under a golden sunset, he hauls the heavy bundle. Elin calls out, relieved to see him return safely. She surprises him with a warm meal of grilled fish. Elin pulls Qin Tian toward dinner, eager to share her cooking. Qin Tian stares at the charred remains, questioning if it's even food. He hesitates, lying about the temperature to avoid hurting her feelings. Elin beams with pride, waiting for his verdict on the meal. Qin Tian forces himself to swallow the bitter, blackened charcoal. He offers a strained thumbs up, claiming the fish is delicious. Encouraged by his lie, Elin reaches for a piece herself. The truth hits hard as she spits out the bitter, inedible mess. Mortified, Elin apologizes for ruining their precious food supply. Qin Tian eats the rest, reassuring her that nothing goes to waste. Qin Tian offers Elin the oysters, taking the burnt fish himself. Elin struggles through the bitter meal, determined to share the burden. A full moon rises, casting a cold glow over the jungle. Qin Tian begins splitting bamboo, planning to craft a new tool. He explains the need for a larger, more efficient fish trap. Qin Tian tasks Elin with crafting bamboo water bottles. Elin accepts the challenge, fully committed to their mutual survival. Qin Tian notes her growth, proud of her newfound resilience and drive. The system details the intricate process of weaving a bamboo cage. Qin Tian completes the trap, earning points for his expert craftsmanship. Night falls as Qin Tian and Elin sit by the fire. Elin presents her first bamboo water bottle for Qin Tian's approval. He inspects her work, impressed by the clever handle design. Qin Tian reveals his plan to harvest more bamboo tomorrow morning. Eager to contribute, Elin refuses to stay behind at camp. Qin Tian realizes her mental recovery means she can handle chores. He smirks, planning to put her newfound energy to good use. They reach the bamboo forest, a sea of towering green stalks. Elin stands in awe, overwhelmed by the forest's massive scale. After 2 hours of walking, Qin Tian suggests a quick break. Elin admires the clearing, feeling safe from wild predators. Qin Tian remains focused, prioritizing their dwindling food supply. He hands her a knife, assigning a solo foraging task. Confident, Elin vows to find plenty of bamboo shoots. Alone in the dense stalks, she begins her search. Her sharp eyes spot fresh shoots breaking the soil. She harvests the smaller shoots to keep her load light. Elin celebrates her success, securing a massive vegetable haul. A sudden low grunt freezes her in her tracks. Terror strikes as a wild boar emerges from the shadows. Elin freezes in terror, desperate to remain completely undetected. A sounder of wild boars grazes dangerously close to her. Panicked, she retreats to find Qin Tian before it's too late. She bursts into the clearing, startling Qin Tian mid-work. Qin Tian questions her claim, wary of a potential mistake. Elin points back, describing a large, approaching boar sounder. Realizing the danger, Qin Tian grabs her hand with urgency. He pulls her away, prioritizing an immediate, swift retreat. He warns that boars are lethal despite not being carnivores. A massive beast emerges, blocking their only path to safety. A massive wild boar sounder blocks their path, radiating pure aggression. Qin Tian signals for absolute silence, hoping to slip away unnoticed. The lead boar's snout twitches, catching their scent in the air. Red eyes lock onto them as the beast lets out a roar. Qin Tian grabs Elin, bolting as the predator begins its charge. They sprint through the bamboo, the forest blurring in their wake. Heavy hooves thunder against the earth, closing the distance rapidly. A whole herd joins the chase, outmatching their human speed. Elin's lungs burn as terror and exhaustion finally take hold. She resolves to sacrifice herself rather than slow Qin Tian down. Elin collapses, begging Qin Tian to leave her behind. Qin Tian scoffs at her cliché movie-style sacrifice. He questions if he could even survive alone. Stopping her panic, he decides to fight the beasts. A massive boar charges as he recalls village hunting wisdom. He knows boars lack the loyalty of a wolf pack. If he scares the leader, the whole sounder will scatter. His intimidation tactic works, making the aggressive beasts hesitate. Qin Tian raises his axe, daring the monsters to approach. With a thunderous strike, he sends the terrified herd fleeing. Qin Tian collapses, his legs numb from the intense chase. Elin rushes to his side, frantic with worry for him. He forces himself up, urging a quick retreat to camp. Reclaiming his primitive hammer, he's relieved it survived the strike. Suddenly, his eyes widen as he senses a lingering threat. One boar remains behind, refusing to flee with the others. He spots a deep wound, realizing the beast is trapped. An injured, isolated boar is a cornered and lethal predator. The beast charges, forcing Qin Tian into a desperate counterstrike. He draws its focus, determined to let Elin escape safely. Elin screams Qin Tian's name, paralyzed by the sudden danger. Qin Tian draws the boar's aggro, ordering Elin to flee. He sweats under the pressure, relieved his distraction worked perfectly. Reaching into his system, he prepares to activate a trump card. Qin Tian decides it's time to unleash his hidden survival skills. He selects the leopard speed talent, committing his remaining points. With a blue flash, he leaves the charging beast behind. Birds scatter as the forest becomes a blur of motion. He tears through the bamboo, moving faster than humanly possible. The skill's massive energy drain leaves him gasping for air. Qin Tian collapses, his energy drained after the 3-minute sprint. A thunderous roar echoes, sending birds scattering into the sky. He feels the ground tremble, signaling the beast is still close. Qin Tian prays the wounded boar has finally given up. The red-eyed monster charges again, fueled by pure, relentless rage. Gasping for air, he realizes his body has reached its limit. He scrambles up a nearby tree, seeking safety above ground. Perched on a branch, he hides among the dense green leaves. Below, the predator sniffs the air, tracking his scent with precision. Their eyes lock as Qin Tian realizes the hunt isn't over. Qin Tian watches the relentless boar from a high branch. He plans to rest, thankful the beast cannot climb. A sudden violent tremor shakes the entire tree trunk. The boar rams the wood, proving old legends true. Qin Tian clings on as the tree begins to buckle. Below, the predator stops, its energy finally fading away. The wounded beast limps off, its trail marked by blood. Qin Tian eyes the massive prize, calculating a month's food. He drops down, refusing to let the meat escape. Knife ready, he taunts the beast for one final clash. Qin Tian braces himself, waiting for the beast to lunge. He strikes as the boar charges, timing his move perfectly. The massive beast misses, slamming headfirst into a sturdy tree. Dazed and seeing stars, the predator collapses in a heap. Qin Tian watches the trembling beast, realizing it's still alive. He raises his knife, determined to end this fight now. Mounting the beast, he drives the blade into its skull. The boar shrieks, bucking violently and throwing him to the ground. Qin Tian gasps, stunned by the monster's incredibly thick hide. He taunts the dying beast, promising it a merciful end. Qin Tian finally delivers the killing blow to the beast. He collapses in exhaustion, earning massive points for the kill. Panic sets in as he fears the blood will attract predators. The massive boar is too heavy to carry back alone. With sunset approaching, he must hide the carcass immediately. He covers the prize with brush, praying it remains hidden. Back at camp, Elin works feverishly on a mysterious task. She pushes herself, determined to finish before Qin Tian returns. Elin tears her dress, sacrificing her clothes for a tool. She carefully gathers fire ash, leaving her true goal unknown. Elin packs ash, planning a desperate rescue for Qin Tian. A familiar voice interrupts, leaving Elin frozen in shock. Qin Tian returns, casually holding a fresh catch of fish. Elin checks him for injuries, her panic turning to relief. She throws her arms around him, sobbing with joy. Qin Tian holds her, promising he's truly safe and sound. He sheds his wet shirt, prompting questions about his state. Qin Tian begins undressing, ready to recount his wild hunt. Flustered, Elin looks away as he strips for the fire. He urges her to dry her own clothes before night. Qin Tian scoffs, calling out Elin's lack of action. Elin turns in surprise, questioning his sudden, blunt remark. Qin Tian strikes a confident pose while stripping down. He laughs off her panic, reassuring her he's decent. By the fire, Elin warns against returning to the forest. Qin Tian casually reveals he successfully killed the boar. Stunned, Elin questions how he took down such a beast. She begs him not to return to that lethal place. He insists survival requires taking calculated, dangerous risks. Qin Tian shares a story of a boy defying fate. Elin recounts a fable about a son saving his drowning mother. She explains the boy learned to swim to conquer his fate. Qin Tian insists they must face every island threat to survive. He plans to craft a bamboo bow to eliminate the boars. The next morning, Qin Tian leaves Elin in charge of camp. He sprints back to the forest before his speed buff expires. Reaching the kill site, he finds scavengers have already arrived. Relieved the prime meat is safe, he prepares to butcher it. He plans to salvage the thick hide for a warm blanket. Deep claw marks reveal a deadlier predator is stalking the island. Qin Tian butchers the boar, securing a month's worth of food. He harvests additional materials, planning to craft a powerful bamboo bow. Activating his speed skill, Qin Tian hauls the massive haul home. Back at camp, Elin focuses on sharpening a primitive bone tool. She tests the edge, satisfied with her new rabbit bone needle. Qin Tian returns suddenly, startling Elin as she finishes her work. Furious at the scare, Elin scolds him while he offers apologies. Her anger vanishes instantly as she spots the massive meat haul. Elin celebrates the prize, realizing they won't starve for a week. Exhausted, Qin Tian calculates that careful rationing could double that time. Elin questions the white fat on their massive haul. Qin Tian plans to render oil but lacks a container. He proposes a new project, crafting primitive pottery from clay. At camp, Qin Tian prepares the earth for a demonstration. He selects creamy, high-quality clay for their first survival bowl. The system reveals 6 ancient techniques for shaping raw earth. Qin Tian rolls long clay sticks, choosing the simplest method. He carefully coils the clay, building the vessel's walls upward. With intense focus, he attempts to refine the final shape. Silence falls as his masterpiece resembles something far less appetizing. Qin Tian hides his face, embarrassed by his suggestive clay creation. He explains that soft clay requires intense focus to shape. Qin Tian challenges Elin to try her hand at pottery. He finishes a crude bowl, satisfied with the simple result. Qin Tian prepares to comfort Elin after her inevitable first failure. Elin reveals a set of perfect bowls, leaving him speechless. Impressed, he decides Elin should handle all future handcrafting tasks. He carries the vessels away, needing them to dry before firing. Qin Tian digs a pit to build a primitive kiln. He prepares the foundation, ensuring the pottery survives the heat. Qin Tian shapes the raw clay into a box-shaped kiln. As darkness falls, he halts work to rest for tomorrow. Feasting by the fire, food security brings a rare peace. Elin works quietly, a soft smile playing on her lips. Qin Tian notices her joy, sharing a light-hearted moment together. He admits that surviving another day is the ultimate happiness. He marvels at her expert stitching on his mended shirt. Elin worries their limited wardrobe won't last much longer. Confident, Qin Tian vows the system will ensure their escape. He bites a branch, preparing for another day of survival. Elin questions using wood ash as a primitive toothpaste substitute. Qin Tian explains the chemistry behind ash as a cleaning agent. They scrub their teeth, adapting to the harsh island reality. Inside the kiln, the raw clay vessels await their transformation. Qin Tian estimates a grueling 5-hour burn for the pottery. Elin reels at the timeline, realizing survival requires immense patience. He warns that one temperature spike will shatter their hard work. Qin Tian guards the fire, tasking Elin with crafting backups. Confident in her skills, Elin accepts the challenge with ease. High noon arrives as the kiln's heat begins to intensify. Qin Tian laments the low survival rate of their first pottery batch. He grinds broken shards to find a better crafting solution. Qin Tian explains that adding ceramic powder prevents clay from shrinking. At midnight, they take shifts to keep the kiln fire burning. The new method works, yielding several perfect, durable clay vessels. Qin Tian admires their growing collection of essential survival tools. Morning brings dark clouds, signaling a storm is fast approaching. Elin watches nervously as Qin Tian adds water to boiling fat. He explains the chemistry of rendering oil safely without an explosion. Qin Tian reveals his next plan, turning clamshell powder into soap. Elin reacts with pure shock to the mention of soap. Qin Tian questions her surprise while preparing the raw ingredients. He quizzes her on the chemistry of primitive saponification. Realization strikes Elin as she understands his complex plan. Qin Tian crushes seashells to extract essential calcium carbonate. Intense heat transforms the shell powder into reactive calcium oxide. Elin fans away toxic fumes as the chemical reaction begins. He carefully mixes the solution to create calcium hydroxide. They combine wood ash and fat to produce solid soap. Adding ash ensures their primitive soap reaches maximum cleaning power. Qin Tian stresses soap is vital for survival without medicine. He confirms the pork fat is ready for the next step. Elin is tempted by the smell of the crispy lard. Qin Tian warns her that the taste is an acquired one. They stir the mixture, expecting finished soap by the morning. Noticing the weather, Qin Tian plans to reinforce their camp. Ominous dark clouds loom, signaling a massive storm is here. Qin Tian stands guard, thankful their sturdy shelter is complete. He checks his system, eyeing a new power-up for 11,000 points. Qin Tian teases Elin, sparking a playful and flustered reaction. Elin tests the soap, finding it effective but drying. Qin Tian surprises her with a handmade bamboo comb. He warns Elin to manage the meat before it spoils. Qin Tian heats green bamboo to remove excess moisture. He explains that hunting boars requires a high-tension hard bow. With a knife, he carefully strips the bamboo for crafting. He decides on a multi-layered design for maximum power. Qin Tian hammers stakes into the earth to create molds. He bends the bamboo strips, forcing them into a curve. The slow process means the weapon won't be ready tomorrow. Lightning tears through the sky, signaling the storm's arrival. Qin Tian orders Elin to secure their supplies immediately. They scramble to move their precious resources under cover. Safe inside, they catch their breath as rain lashes down. Elin teases Qin Tian about his impressive survival knowledge. They share a quiet moment, reflecting on life before the island. Outside, the torrential rain begins to flood the surrounding terrain. A strange, low rumble cuts through the sound of rain. Qin Tian's eyes widen as he identifies the approaching threat. He rouses a sleepy Elin, bracing for a new disaster. Qin Tian braces the shelter, ordering Elin to help clear debris. Sensing an imminent threat, he drags Elin into the torrential rain. He hoists her up a massive tree, urging her to hold on. Perched high above, Qin Tian signals for absolute silence. Panicked deer and rabbits flee as a greater force approaches. Elin's relief is short-lived as Qin Tian spots the true danger. A massive sounder of boars stampedes through their defenseless camp. Qin Tian muffles Elin's gasp, counting 20 lethal beasts below. He prays the heavy rain masks their scent from the predators. Elin's eyes widen as she points out a new, terrifying discovery. Below, 2 boars lie still, their breathing shallow and ragged. Qin Tian notes strange, whip-like wounds covering their massive bodies. The storm intensifies, drenching the forest in a cold, relentless downpour. Huddled together, Qin Tian fears hypothermia will kill them both. He hatches a plan to use his shoes as a distraction. Bracing himself, Qin Tian prepares to throw his only footwear. The shoe strikes the brush, creating a sudden, sharp noise. Startled, the remaining boars bolt into the darkness, fleeing the sound. Relief washes over them as the immediate threat finally disappears. Qin Tian prepares to catch Elin, sensing a deeper, hidden danger. Elin's foot slips on the rain-slicked bark. She plunges toward the ground, catching Qin Tian off guard. The pair collide in a chaotic, dusty heap. Elin recovers first, checking on a dazed Qin Tian. A massive point reward confirms the mission's success. They begin the grueling task of rebuilding their camp. Elin celebrates their surviving livestock while Qin Tian works. Despite the damage, Qin Tian salvages their primitive soap. Morning sun brings hope for drying their soaked supplies. Qin Tian's blunt survival advice leaves Elin completely flustered. Qin Tian suggests a shared bath, flustering Elin completely. He notes the river has flooded from the recent storm. The flood destroyed his fish tank, but the trap remains. He urges her to wash her clothes, worried about their wardrobe. Elin worries about the boars returning as night falls. She insists on taking a watch, sensing her lingering fear. He works on the bow, determined to stop running. He twists the bamboo strips, binding them tightly together. He completes the multi-layered bow, adding a rabbit skin grip. He realizes the bow's power requires a non-elastic, durable string. He reveals the perfect bowstring, sun-dried pig sinew. He tears and braids the sinew with raw strength. The bow holds strong, now he needs arrows. Lacking ideal materials, he settles for ordinary wood. He hardens the arrow shafts over the campfire. The first method, fire hardening and sharpening the wood. The second option, a lethal sharpened stone arrowhead. He crafts 3 stone-tipped arrows to test their power. His new arsenal is complete, earning a 2,000-point reward. As night falls, a strange sound echoes through the trees. He now has enough points to buy a new skill. He weighs his options, speed or raw strength. Strength is useless against a stampeding herd. With his new bow, speed is the optimal choice. He buys the skill, triggering a powerful transformation. He grits his teeth, enduring the agonizing power surge. The pain subsides, replaced by a wave of new energy. The next day, they begin cleaning their ruined camp. The boar stampede destroyed most of their supplies. They spend 2 days expertly crafting new pottery. 3 days later, Qin Tian finally tests his new bow. Elin watches as he struggles, his aim completely off. After a day of practice, his aim is now lethal enough. The next morning, he ventures back into the forest. The woods are still damp and muddy from the storm. He spots something strange inside a large, red flower. Tadpoles swim in the water pooled within the petals. He marvels at this strange, tree-based ecosystem. He enters the bamboo forest, searching for fresh shoots. Suddenly, a strange quacking sound puts him on high alert. He grins, realizing the sound is wild chickens. Peeking through the bamboo, he finds his prey. He draws his bow, already planning tonight's soup. But the arrow flies wide, missing its target. He realizes hitting a moving target is harder. The birds mock him, unfazed by his missed shots. Embarrassed, he decides he needs to get closer. He takes aim again, still struggling with the distance. A successful shot finally lands, earning 200 points. Relieved, he celebrates his hard-earned victory. A second arrow finds its mark, sending the flock scattering. He realizes he's out of arrows, but the hunt was a success. He gathers his kills, ignoring the stunned survivors. He mocks the slow birds as he heads back to camp. Back at camp, he prepares to reveal their hard-earned meal. Steam billows out as Lynn praises the delicious aroma. She eagerly takes her first taste of the chicken soup. Her eyes widen in disbelief at the incredible flavor. The taste is so good it sends her into a fantasy. She savors the rich broth and fresh bamboo shoots. Qin Tian explains the soup's unique, natural sweetness. He admits the only thing missing is salt. Elin asks why they haven't added any seasoning. She panics, forgetting they have no salt on the island. He reveals their next mission, making salt from the sea. Elin promises to help while he plans to use the feathers. The next day, they head to the beach to begin. As they prepare to boil seawater, he sends her off. He plans to build a sundial to help track their time. Lacking tools, Elin doubts they can build it accurately. Qin Tian begins by shaping a square of mud. He uses a simple string to find the exact center. With a makeshift compass, he etches a perfect circle. He explains the key difference is the angle of the dial. Elin quickly grasps the three main sundial designs. He chooses the equatorial design for its equal hour lines. This method requires no modern measurement tools at all. The sundial will have 24 marks, not 12. He explains the sun's seasonal shift requires a two-sided dial. But Elin raises a critical flaw in his plan. He corrects her, explaining they only need one fixed point. The key is finding noon when shadows are shortest. He leaves Elin to watch the sundial for noon. Meanwhile, he checks the salt, but it's too wet. He decides to let the sun finish the drying process. The first batch yields a small amount of crude salt, but the salt is still impure, requiring more work. He starts another batch, aiming for a month's supply. Suddenly, Elin calls out, signaling the sundial is ready. They found noon, but the sundial needs more work. He explains the crude salt is full of harmful impurities. Back at camp, they prepare to purify their first batch. The plan is to dissolve it and reboil the water. To do that, they need a homemade water purifier. He builds a filter using bamboo, cloth, and charcoal. Activated charcoal would yield even better, cleaner results. But the slow filtration process is agonizingly long. By 6 o'clock, their sundial is finally finished. Elin savors the now perfected chicken soup. Qin Tian explains salt is the key to amazing flavor. He teases her for her dramatic reaction to the soup. Elin realizes they've been stranded for 20 days. She asks about his plan to build a boat. He admits a proper boat could take years to build. Elin suggests building a wooden house for better protection. Qin Tian agrees, deciding they must relocate their camp. He explains their current location is too exposed to predators. 4 days later, his search for a new camp yields nothing. He notices a change in the light ahead. He pushes forward, wondering what lies beyond the trees. Qin Tian pushes through the brush, his eyes wide. He emerges into a grassy clearing, a perfect campsite. In the rock face, he discovers a massive cave. Wary of predators, he draws his bow to check inside. An arrow flies into the dark, echoing off stone walls. He steps inside, finding the space is large and dry. But a strange sound from deeper in puts him on guard. He looks down, discovering a floor littered with bones. This cave is clearly a predator's den. His eyes widen in terror as he sees the occupant. A massive paw swipes at Qin Tian's head. He activates cheetah mode, narrowly dodging the attack. The cave's occupant is a massive, aggressive panda. He uses his new speed to evade its powerful claws. He tries to distract it with a piece of bamboo. The beast eyes the offering with strange curiosity. It shatters the bamboo with a single, powerful bite. This is no ordinary panda, it's a monstrous bear. Unable to fight it, Qin Tian decides to retreat. The creature turns, revealing a terrifying second head. Perched above, he realizes the beast can't smell him. Reluctantly, he prepares to kill it for the cave. The arrow finds its mark, striking the beast's back, but it bounces harmlessly off its incredibly thick hide. The wooden arrowhead is completely useless against its skin. He activates cheetah mode, knowing he can outrun it. He blurs through the trees with the beast in pursuit. Leaping into the air, he readies a stone-tipped arrow. The stone arrowhead strikes true, piercing its skull. But the wound only makes the monster even more furious. The beast is enraged, its skull impossibly thick. He dodges a lethal swipe from its massive claws. His speed boost fades, forcing a tactical retreat. Elin urges him to find another camp, fearing the beast. But Qin Tian is confident they can handle it. He reveals a new plan, forging an iron arrowhead. He'll craft 2 retrievable arrows from his belt buckle. But their campfire isn't hot enough to melt iron. he'll need to build a bellows to superheat the fire. The plan is a simple syringe-like bamboo air pump. Qin Tian scraps the pump idea for a better design. He explains his new, more efficient wind fan bellows. While he builds the fan, Elin crafts the arrowhead molds. Elin teases him about their rapidly deteriorating clothes. He retorts that she's the one who should be worried. With their new bellows, the furnace roars to life. Elin struggles to work the fan, asking how much longer. He grits his teeth, telling her just another half hour. He urges her to keep going, pushing through the exhaustion. Finally, the iron buckle melts into a glowing liquid. Elin collapses, completely spent from working the bellows. Qin Tian is impressed by her surprisingly detailed mold. He carefully pours the molten iron into her perfect design. The final step is grinding the cooled metal to a point. He thanks her for her help, offering to cook dinner. That night, he sharpens the new arrowhead by the fire. With Elin asleep, he knows everything rides on this weapon. The iron tip is razor-sharp, ready for the hunt. He laments having only one iron arrow against the beast. But his 4,700 points are enough to buy a new skill. He decides to buy an animal encyclopedia. But the system flags his selection with a warning. It offers a combo, animal training for 4,500 points. He accepts and the knowledge floods into his mind. He opens the book on training wild animals first. The intro promises martial arts to become their king. The first lesson, how to fight a boxing kangaroo. It advises sliding under the beast's powerful kick. The final move is a devastatingly simple groin strike. Qin Tian is left speechless by the absurd advice. The guide moves on to fighting a rhinoceros. It advises distracting the beast and sliding underneath. The next step is a vicious, targeted groin strike. This supposedly paralyzes the rhino with crippling pain. He scrolls to the next entry, how to fight apes. The first step is to taunt the ape into a rage. As it leaps, he's told to slide under with an AK-47. The final move is to simply shoot it from below. Qin Tian stares at the guide, completely appalled. He realizes he's wasted all his points on a useless skill. A new day begins, marked by their sundial. Elin wakes to find Qin Tian already cooking stew. She asks how fierce the panda is, wanting to see it. But he knows bringing her would get them both killed. He notes she's finally adapting to their harsh life. Later, Qin Tian heads back toward the monster's den. He plans to tie ropes to his two precious iron arrows. But first, he'll test the cave with a wooden arrow. The arrow flies deep into the darkness of the cave. He waits, confirming the beast is not currently home. He assumes the panda is out hunting for food. He decides to consult his new animal encyclopedia. Suddenly, a rustling sound catches his attention. The monstrous panda has returned from its hunt. His encyclopedia identifies it as an ancient carnivore. He's stunned to be facing a prehistoric beast. The guide says it can be tamed by changing its diet. Intrigued, he decides to try taming the creature. He recalls the absurd manual, then discards the idea. He aims for its leg, hoping to force a diet chain. The wooden arrow strikes but only enrages the beast. He draws his precious iron-tipped arrow. This one is retrievable, a weapon he can't lose. The monster simply bites the first arrow out. He activates cheetah mode, deciding to flee. His first priority is to create a safe distance. With enough space, he turns to take his shot. Another arrow finds its mark, piercing its hide. The speed boost is draining his energy fast. He plans to wear it down over several days. On the second day, he lands another irritating shot. The third day, he lands another blow from behind. The fourth day arrives with no sign of the beast. He finds fresh blood, hoping it's finally dying. But the blood is new, the beast is right behind him. He activates cheetah mode, dodging a lethal swipe. The clever monster has learned how to ambush him. He leaps back, firing his retrievable iron arrow. Incredibly, the beast catches the arrow in its paw. It bites through the rope, forcing his retreat. A sudden downpour forces him to take cover. He's down to his last iron arrow. Then he spots a tiny blue frog nearby. His encyclopedia identifies it as a poison dart frog. A dangerous new plan begins to form. He realizes these frogs are what he saw as tadpoles. He carefully prods the frog with a stick. The encyclopedia confirms its toxin can be weaponized. He coats his last iron arrowhead with the poison. But the storm worsens and he must return to Elin. He returns to camp, soaked from the raging storm. Elin rushes into his arms, relieved he's alive. He realizes her fear stems from past trauma. He apologizes for scaring her, trying to soothe her. Blushing, she insists she was just worried, not scared. He reveals the tiny blue frog on his arrow. She understands its bright color signals extreme danger. He confirms his plan to use its poison on the panda. The next morning, the storm has finally passed. He roasts the frog, slowly extracting its lethal poison. He tells Elin this poison is their key to victory. As it cooks, bubbles appear on its skin. The frog turns black, releasing the true poison. He believes this dose will be lethal enough. Elin hands him two strange balls of woven grass. She wonders what his strange new plan is. He smirks, revealing he has a special purpose. He returns to the entrance of the monster's den. He sees no tracks, confirming the beast is inside. He prepares to throw his secret weapon inside. He hurls the woven grass balls into the darkness. They erupt, filling the cave with thick smoke. The smoke chokes the air, flushing out its target. An enraged panda bursts from the cave, roaring. It charges, already weakened by the smoke. Qin Tian activates cheetah mode, ready to run. The beast stumbles into a simple, painful trap. Bloodied and furious, it continues the relentless pursuit. He notices its roars are growing weaker. He knocks his poison-tipped arrow, ready to end this. He draws his bow, ready to fire the toxic arrow. The poison-laced projectile flies straight and true, but he used a stone arrow which barely pierces its hide. He's suddenly worried the poison might actually kill it, but the poison has no effect on the raging beast. He leaps back, firing another useless stone arrow. The monster simply pulls the arrow out, unfazed. He realizes the dull arrows can't deliver the poison. He fires another shot, striking its thick chest fur. It roars in his face, enraged by the pinpricks. He braces for the beast's final, desperate attack, but the monster suddenly collapses, dizzy and weak. He realizes the poison finally took effect. He decides to wait and see what happens next. An hour later, the beast is completely paralyzed. After 2 hours, it slowly begins to stir. 3 hours pass and it staggers to its feet. The dose was perfect, incapacitating but not lethal. The next morning, he prepares for his final plan. He'll tame the beast with fish and bamboo shoots. He returns to the cave, ready to tame the beast. He finds the panda passed out from exhaustion. He smirks at its goofy, vulnerable position. He stuffs a bamboo shoot inside a fresh fish. He throws the fish, giving it a rude awakening. The beast wakes up groggy but still furious. He sees the poison is still weakening its rage. The hungry panda lunges for the offering. It happily devours the fish, bamboo and all. Qin Tian sees a powerful new ally in the making. He dangles another fish before the beast. The monster happily chomps down the offering. Weakened by poison, it's now surprisingly docile. Qin Tian decides his new pet needs a name. The panda rolls over, full in content. He settles on the perfect name, Dumb. That evening, he and Elin eat by the fire. He estimates it will take 2 months to tame it. Elin is confused by the panda's new name. She doesn't know what to say to his choice. Qin Tian notices Elin isn't eating her food. She clutches her stomach, saying she's not hungry. A sudden realization dawns on his face. She furiously denies his unspoken accusation. Elin snaps at him for being so blunt. He understands her stress is about her period. He knows she has no supplies on the island. He asks when it will start, but she's unsure. She explains the stress has made her cycle unpredictable. He decides they'll start making paper tomorrow. Elin is stunned by his plan to make paper. He admits it will be crude, but she's just grateful. He gives her a quick history lesson on papermaking. The ancient process was long and incredibly complex. It involved soaking plant fibers until they decomposed, but he plans to use modern knowledge to speed it up. The next morning, Elin wakes up in their shelter. A foul smell fills the air as Qin Tian holds a bottle. He reveals the secret ingredient, human urine. He tasks her with weaving a mesh from bamboo fibers. Elin presents her finished bamboo mesh trays. He explains they need no OH to make soft paper. He begins a complex process using urine and shells. She's amazed he can create chemicals from scratch. He directs her to add water to the contraption. A foul smell confirms the chemical reaction has begun. Next, he mixes salt water into the solution. He heats the mixture, separating the byproducts. The final step involves mixing it with lime water. Elin laments how much easier this would be with electricity. He jokes about using lightning to generate power. After a break, they gather grass for the paper. He soaks the grass in the solution to create pulp. He washes the pulp in the river to remove impurities. He adds clear water, creating the final paper slurry. He teaches Elin how to screen the pulp onto the frames. The paper dries quickly in the afternoon sun. The system rewards him with 1,000 points for his success. The finished paper is rough but surprisingly strong. He makes a crude joke about its use, disgusting Elin. Elin tells him to stop being so crude. She quickly praises his incredible survival skills, but she teases him about being a know-it-all. 3 days later, Qin Tian heads out with fresh fish. He's been at camp and wonders how Dumb is doing. He finds the beast sleeping soundly at its den, but the smell of fish begins to stir it. It wakes, its eyes glowing with primal hunger. Its gaze locks onto the meal in his hand. He offers the food, ready to begin its training. He begins training, tossing a fish at the beast. He's confident he can tame it within 2 months. After the feeding, he heads to the stream for resources. He realizes he's neglected gathering other supplies. Suddenly, he spots exactly what he needs. He's found wild ginger, a powerful folk medicine. Back at camp, he brews a remedy for Elin. Inside the shelter, Elin is doubled over in pain. He asks if her cramps are always this severe. She snaps back that it's never been this bad. He asks what she usually does for the pain. She describes her modern comforts, a heating pad and tea. He offers his own remedy, ginger tea in a hot bottle. He hands her the cup, claiming it was no trouble, but she knows he went out of his way to find it. She sips the warm drink, feeling a little better. Later, Elin explains his brutal taming method. He's starving the beast to change its diet. A month later, the panda finally trusts him. He calls out to Shanbai with fresh bamboo. The panda hesitates before the bamboo offering, but one bite is all it takes to convince it. He successfully turned a carnivore into a herbivore. He reasons it was always an omnivore anyway, but he worries it might still see him as food. The system rewards his success with a training seal. He accepts the strange new item without question. The seal creates a bond and prevents any harm. This is the perfect tool for taming a monster. He presses the seal, binding the beast to him. Qin Tian's hand glows, channeling power toward the massive beast. The system confirms the taming is complete, asking if it's over. Qin Tian declares himself Shanbai's master now. Qin Tian tells Elin they can finally meet the beast tomorrow. He planned this meeting so they could bond later. Elin asks if she should throw bamboo to him first. Qin Tian confirms, stressing she must use the name Shanbai. The wild animal remains wary, staring intensely at Elin. Elin worries the beast might attack her suddenly. Qin Tian reassures her, promising he will protect her. He reveals a special technique to keep fish alive. Their plan is to move camp closer to the cave. He smacks Shanbai, putting his new pet to work. They pack their essentials, loading up the beast of burden. He decides to bring their precious rock pan along. Elin feels a pang of nostalgia for their first shelter. With a final look back, they head for the cave. The trio journeys toward their new, safer home. The system rewards him for establishing their new camp. Elin marvels at the breathtaking, star-filled sky. He says this starry sky is normal back home, but he laments that pollution has ruined such views. With Shanbai on guard, they can finally sleep together. His choice of words leaves Elin completely stunned. He teases her, asking if she wants to be his girlfriend. He leans in closer, causing her to panic. He whispers that only lovers do things like that. She realizes he was just messing with her. Flustered, she shoves him away, ending the joke. He tells her to clean up, but she ignores him. The next day, they dig for clay to make more pottery. He leaves Elin to the task, planning a bigger camp. He rides Shanbai upstream in search of bigger fish. He finds a deeper spot, perfect for a future fish farm. On the third day, they begin gathering bamboo. With Shanbai's help, they gather materials for a kitchen. He smacks the lazy beast, telling it to get to work. The next day, he heats bamboo to bend it into shape. He climbs a ladder, ignoring Elin's worried warnings. They realize mud walls won't stand up to the rain. A week later, their new home is nearly complete. They finally finish building their bamboo kitchen. The system rewards him for his recent creations. He decides to show Elin their new surroundings. He leads her to the cool, refreshing river. She happily plays in the water with Shanbai. He reflects on how much their lives have improved. But her fun is cut short by a sudden pain. She hobbles out of the water, clutching her foot. She finds a strange, sharp rock crystal in her hand. Qin Tian identifies the rock as quartz, an ingredient for glass. He gently places the strange crystal in her hand. He explains it's just a high-purity version of quartz, but he teases her for picking up a common stone. Elin asks where to explore next. He decides to head upstream, seeking new resources. They discover a massive, ancient honey locust tree. He suggests using its pulp to make shampoo. Elin is desperate for something better than pig fat soap. She stares nervously at the thorny, towering trunk. Elin refuses, worried the thorny tree is too dangerous. He feigns disappointment, then powers up for the jump. He launches himself high into the air. His feet connect perfectly with the first branch. Ignoring her pleas, he continues his ascent. He claims he's just gathering food for them both. Embarrassed, she realizes she was overthinking things. He notes the pods are high, but the climb is manageable. He secures a rope around his waist to prevent a fall. He reaches the pods, lamenting his rusty climbing skills. But something else catches his eye in the distance. He leaps down from the tree to investigate. Elin proudly shows him their basket of pods. He offers to make her real shampoo with them. The simple offer leaves her completely flustered. He teases her, saying the choice is hers. He calls her bluff, ready to leave with Shanbai. She agrees to decide after seeing the sugar cane. They arrive at a massive, sprawling sugar cane field. She notices the plants are arranged in neat rows. Qin Tian's suspicion grows at the sight. Elin wonders if the strange sugar cane is edible. He yanks her back, warning her not to touch it. But it's too late, the sharp leaves cut her hand. She warns him of the danger, but he's already prepared. He brings his stone axe down on a thick stalk. He inspects the rare, purple-skinned sugar cane. They all try a piece, but the skin is too tough. Elin finds the taste strange and sour. He decides to harvest it to make brown sugar. He explains the honey locust pulp is highly nutritious, but extracting the meat is a long, tedious process. He serves up a porridge made from the pods. Elin is surprised by its sweet, delicious taste. She worries about their supply, but he reassures her. He tells her to prepare if she wants shampoo tomorrow. He begins the arduous task of extracting sugar cane juice. He realizes he needs to chop it into smaller pieces. After much effort, he finally extracts all the juice. But first, the raw juice must be refined. Elin returns, startling Qin Tian mid-snack. She proudly shows off a basket of mushrooms. He praises her for her hard work, but his expression suddenly turns to alarm. He spots a deadly destroying angel mushroom. He points out another toxic red mushroom, and a third that causes hallucinations. Only the yellow chanterelles are safe to eat. He tells a dejected Elin to gather mint leaves. She asks if it's for shampoo, but he has another plan. He reveals the mint is for making toothpaste. He gives her a quick lesson on the recipes. Meanwhile, he condenses the sugar cane juice. Elin asks about their remaining honey locust pods. He adds ginger, explaining its benefits for hair. He asks her to prepare the coconut meat. He begins the long process of making coconut oil. He sets up a crude distiller for the mint leaves. The refreshing steam is a natural mosquito repellent. He explains the final 1-to-1 mixing ratio. He presents the finished shampoo, earning system points. Elin is disappointed, but he tells her to wait for morning. As night falls, Shanbai guards their new home. A strange giggle wakes Qin Tian from his sleep. He jolts awake, completely startled by the noise. He finds Elin sleep-talking, dreaming of shiny hair. A violent thunderstorm suddenly breaks the silence. The sound of the storm wakes Elin up. The downpour reminds him of the night they met. Elin notices Shanbai growling, sensing danger. Elin asks why Shanbai is so agitated. Qin Tian senses the beast's abnormal reaction. He uses the taming seal to read its mind. A vision floods his senses. Wild pigs are coming. Through the storm, a herd of boars charges forward. Elin asks if the pigs are really returning. He tells her to stay inside, promising to handle it. The rain pours down, masking the approaching danger. Suddenly, the herd of demonic boars bursts from the trees. Shanbai lets out a ferocious roar, ready for battle. Qin Tian tries to calm his enraged beast, but Shanbai charges, swiping at the first boar. The beast stands its ground against the horde. A sharp tusk digs deep into its side. Qin Tian watches, horrified by the brutal attack. He scolds the beast for its reckless charge, but its sacrifice keeps the boars distracted. The alpha boar snarls, ready to command. It squares off against the wounded Shanbai, but the loyal guardian roars back in defiance. Shanbai sinks its teeth deep into the alpha's neck. Its powerful claws tear into the boar's tough hide. With a mighty heave, it flings the massive leader aside. Qin Tian has seen enough. He draws his bow. He hopes his old poison arrows still have their bite. The first shot flies true and a boar collapses, but he only has 4 precious poison arrows left. Every single shot must find its mark. He lets loose a volley, striking with deadly precision. One by one, the poison boars begin to fall. A boar's glowing eyes lock onto Qin Tian. The rest of the herd snarls, finding a new target. With his cover blown, he's now in their sights. He decides to lead them away from the wounded Shanbai. He sprints through the forest, drawing the chase. After luring them far enough, he prepares to escape. He taunts them with a final daring leap. The boars charge on, but they've lost his trail. Hidden in a tree, he waits for them to leave. His thoughts immediately return to his injured friend. The storm continues to rage through the night. Back at the camp, Shanbai fights on alone. The last of the boars finally begin to retreat. Qin Tian returns, finding his beast still on edge. He gently reassures his loyal, battle-worn friend. He surveys the carnage, amazed by Shanbai's strength. The next morning, Elin worries about infection. He explains Shanbai sensed the boars coming. It's a conditioned reflex from years of fighting them. But she asks why they didn't attack before. He admits he can only guess the reason for their attack. They decide to butcher the boars tomorrow. He says the brave beast deserves a reward. He gathers bamboo shoots for his hungry pet. To find more, he must venture deeper into the forest. But an unnatural silence puts him on edge. His instincts scream that something is wrong. He notices the ground is strangely flattened. It looks like a road was carved through the forest. Deciding not to risk it, he turns to leave. A strange noise suddenly stops him in his tracks. He whips around, his senses on high alert. His eyes widen in utter disbelief. He's face to face with an extinct Titanoboa. The massive serpent lunges, forcing him to retreat. He can't believe this island's prehistoric dangers. Just then, the system chimes in with a solution. It warns him running is futile, he must face it. The plan: leap directly into its gaping maw. From there, he must travel into its stomach. The final step: stab the beast from the inside. Qin Tian is horrified by the system's insane plan. He rejects the idea and sprints for his life. He knows he can't escape its heat-seeking tongue. Ahead, he spots a steep slope, his only hope. He digs his heel in at the very edge. He tumbles down the embankment to escape. The massive serpent peers over the ledge, searching. The steep angle keeps him hidden from its view. He's out of poison arrows, which wouldn't work anyway. He desperately searches his knowledge for a weakness. The system's plan was a certified death wish. But the serpent's head appears, having caught his scent. Cornered and out of options, he grips his knife. He gambles everything, leaping onto the beast's back. He drives his blade deep into its thick scales. The Titanoboa thrashes, enraged by the attack. He realizes his knife is too short to reach its heart. Suddenly, the violent thrashing stops. He freezes, hoping to hide on its massive body. He decides to wait, hoping for a better plan. An hour later, he cautiously slides off its back. He knows his knife is useless, he has to escape. He must stay quiet but be ready for anything. A strange, pungent smell suddenly fills the air. He recognizes it as boar territory, long abandoned. The ground lurches beneath him without warning. The serpent's body suddenly begins to move. His eyes lock onto a new approaching threat. A massive boar charges into the clearing. The serpent strikes, its fangs bared for the kill. Its senses are locked onto its new, easier prey. Qin Tian sees his chance to escape in the chaos. Its massive jaws clamp down on the helpless boar. He realizes this snake is the boar's true predator. The Titanoboa begins to constrict its struggling meal. The fight ends far sooner than he ever expected. He tries to slip away, but his foot slides in the mud. He falls hard, hoping he's finally out of its range. Exhausted and weak, he must find shelter before nightfall. As dusk falls, the bamboo forest rustles around him. He checks the system, hoping for a lucky break. The reward wheel has changed, offering new powers. He missed one chance but gained a horse superpower. With a new plan in mind, he spins the wheel again. He burns through his lucky points, spinning repeatedly. The wheel lands on a wild animal training charm. He's furious, wondering why he got this useless item. Reluctantly, he accepts the strange new gift. Suddenly, he hears the boars moving nearby. He peers through the bamboo, seeing a whole herd. He tries to stay hidden, hoping they'll pass by. But one boar stops, its red eyes fixed on him. It charges, and he prepares to use his old trick. But the beast slams into him without hesitation. He's stunned, his taming power has no effect. With no other choice, he turns and runs for his life. His new superpower is burning through his stamina. He remembers a way out, his only chance of escape. He sprints towards the edge of the steep embankment. He makes a desperate dive into a pile of mud. The disgusting heap swallows him whole. He sinks into the filth, holding his breath. The boars arrive, confused by his sudden disappearance. He knows the dung will mask his scent from them. The beasts sniff the ground, completely unaware. He watches silently, praying his gamble pays off. But the herd decides to camp right next to him. He's trapped, forced to wait them out all night. Worse, the decomposing pile is getting hotter. The suffocating heat makes his limbs go numb. He fights desperately to stay awake. If he faints now, he knows he'll never wake up. The long, treacherous night finally passes. He's safe from other predators in boar territory. He plans his escape for dawn to avoid the snake. But a lone flame appears in the distance. A voice calls his name through the darkness. He thinks it's a hallucination, it sounds like Elin. His eyes widen in complete disbelief. It's Elin riding Shanbai into the darkness. She desperately calls out his name. Her eyes widen as she spots the danger. She sees him trapped by the boar herd. With a war cry, she charges into the fray. Shanbai roars, scattering the startled beast. Qin Tian can't believe what he's seeing. The unlikely duo plows through the herd. She asks if he's okay, relieved to find him. He warns her to stay back, covered in filth. He tries to stand, but his legs are completely numb. He stumbles forward, weak from the ordeal. He admits he's dizzy from hunger and urges them to leave. Elin encourages the wounded Shanbai to hold on. The loyal beast pushes forward despite its injuries. With Qin Tian behind her, they ride through the night. He tells her to hold on tight as they race away. She blushes, flustered by their close proximity. He notices her tattered dress, vowing to make new clothes. She realizes there's more to him than she thought. They finally reach the river near their camp. Qin Tian collapses into the cool, refreshing water. After a grueling 2-hour run, they are finally safe. Elin demands some privacy to finally wash up. He agrees, giving her and Shanbai some space. Back at their shelter, Elin immediately collapses. He waits in the kitchen, too hungry to sleep. But a grim sight catches his attention. He finds the boar carcasses from the battle. He worries other predators were drawn by the scent. He turns and notices something on the table. He realizes Elin butchered a boar for torch fat. He's impressed by her unexpected toughness. Suddenly, a sharp pain shoots through his body. His knees buckle from the strain of his escape. He learns the cheetah's superpower has a heavy cost. The system rewards him for surviving the Titanoboa. He warms up some food for the sleeping Elin, but she's completely exhausted from the rescue. He sits beside her, seeing her vulnerability. He reflects on her incredible bravery in saving him. He never expected her to be so resourceful. He admits he completely underestimated her strength. Later, he asks how she managed to track him. She looks confused, not seeing any issue. He reveals the tracks she followed weren't his. They belonged to the monstrous Titanoboa. Elin panics, realizing their shelter isn't safe. He reasons they'd be dead if it knew they were here. But this creates a new problem for Shanbai's food. He explains the snake only attacks deep in the forest. They agree to stay near the camp's edge for safety. He sincerely thanks her for her incredible bravery. Elin is taken aback by his sudden gratitude, but she smiles, accepting his heartfelt thanks. With the danger past, they begin butchering the boars. His body aches, but the carcasses won't wait. Even with Elin's help, the work is grueling. Qin Tian plans to use every last part of the kill. Smoking all the meat will take days of hard labor. Elin worries about leaving the meat outside. Suddenly, her frantic voice calls out his name. He rushes to her side, still groggy from sleep. She panics, shouting that their bacon is gone. His eyes narrow, someone stole their food. He finds the smoking rack completely destroyed. Elin suspects animals, but he disagrees. He points out the lack of any drag marks. Plus, Shan Bai would have sensed any animal nearby. She offers to stand guard, but he dismisses the idea. He vows to stay awake and guard their remaining food. But the long day's ordeal finally catches up to him. He sleeps soundly, unaware of the passing hours. Waking up, he stretches, feeling fully recovered. He asks Elin how long he was out. She tells him he slept through the entire day. She offers him a warm bowl of mint tea. He gratefully accepts the comforting gesture. By the fire, he plans their next steps for survival. But first, he must unmask the thief in their midst. He fears a silent predator could kill them in their sleep. The long, tense night of waiting begins. Dawn approaches, but the thief is a no-show. He realizes he's stuck on permanent night watch. But then a shadow in the sky catches his eye. He identifies the predator, a golden eel. It dives straight for their remaining food. He knows its dive is a 300 km/h death blow. Its powerful talons grip the bamboo rack. He recalls the brutal training needed to tame one. He jokes that this eagle is a legendary monster. He confirms to Elin the thief is a massive golden eagle. She realizes how it stole their food so cleanly. But he tells her to leave the empty rack outside. He reveals his plan to trap and domesticate the beast. He explains the design of his bamboo snare trap. She doubts the simple trap will work on an eagle. He decides to test the trigger mechanism himself. The trap fails, leaving an awkward, silent moment. He pushes harder, but the wooden lock is jammed tight. With a final push, the wooden lock snaps. The trap springs, smacking him right in the face. He calls over Shan Bai for some extra muscle. He tells the beast to test the trap's trigger. Shan Bai slams its paw down with immense force. This time, the snare springs without a hitch. After some adjustments, they settle in for the wait. Elin doubts the eagle will return for the bait, but a shadow in the sky proves him right. The golden eagle dives straight for their trap. The fish bait sits perfectly on the trigger. Its talons snatch the fish, springing the trap. The snare tightens, catching the massive bird. He holds Elin back, telling her to wait. He explains they must let it tire itself out first. They wait patiently as the day wears on. Finally, the exhausted eagle stops its struggling. Elin is stunned by its size, taller than her waist. He jokes that he's not very tall either, but he admits this eagle is unusually massive. He realizes the system's data is dangerously wrong. Elin asks why it's called golden with brown feathers. A brilliant, terrible idea strikes him: desert eagle. She begs him not to give the bird that name. He grins, thinking the name sounds perfect. He officially christens the bird Desert Eagle. The eagle squawks, furious with its new title. Elin asks how he'll tame it like he did Shan Bai. He smirks as his taming glove begins to glow. But a strange blue light erupts from his hand. The system says the pet seal is unusable for now. Elin worries he'll stay up all night to tame it. He smirks, correcting her that they will do it. He explains the plan: sleep deprivation taming. By taking shifts, they can break its will in a week. He takes a nap, leaving Elin on day watch. The first day of the long watch begins. The eagle immediately starts pecking at its bonds. It thrashes violently, trying to break free. Elin stands guard, staring down the defiant bird. On the second night, Qin Tian takes the watch. The system rewards him for making a toothbrush. He taunts the silent, defiant eagle with his creation. He challenges the bird to a battle of wills. By day 3, the eagle is visibly exhausted. But Shan Bai's roar suddenly startles the bird. The eagle still has enough fight to bully the bear. By the 4th night, he's brewing a special glue. He smacks Shan Bai, ordering it to watch him. The enraged bear turns its fury on the eagle. By the morning of the 5th day, the battle is over. The eagle's defiant spirit is finally broken. It lets out a weak, submissive cry. Qin Tian taunts it, asking if it's ready to give up. The massive bird finally lowers its head in defeat. He smirks, seeing its complete surrender. He decides to use the pet seal to finish the job. A brilliant blue light engulfs the defeated bird. The system confirms the taming was a success. Suddenly, he gains access to the eagle's vision. A flash of light connects him to the eagle's mind. The newly tamed bird soars above their camp. Elin is amazed they tamed it so fast. She asks how he knew it was a mother. He claims it's just a guess about mating season. Elin wants to raise the chicks as their own. The massive bird lands gently on his arm. Elin admires the majestic, now docile predator. But when she reaches out, it snaps aggressively. He smirks, saying the eagle simply chose him. Elin huffs, determined to win the eagle's trust. The eagle watches her with a sharp, piercing gaze. She tries to bribe it, but it just waddles like a chicken. The next day, they set out to find the eagle's chick. The mother eagle was too large to reach her fallen child. The featherless chick is weak and won't survive the cold. After a long day, they still haven't found the nestling. At night, he spreads lime to repel mosquitoes. He offers her a warm meal by the campfire. They realize the forest is too vast to cross quickly. They've traveled 20 kilometers, but the forest is vast. He realizes they must be on a huge, undiscovered island. He jokes about wild animals, trying to lighten the mood. As night falls, a chilling howl echoes through the trees. They settle down for the night by the campfire. But a sudden noise startles Qin Tian from his sleep. Shanbai growls, sensing an unseen danger nearby. Pairs of glowing green eyes appear in the darkness. A snarling wolf emerges from the shadows. The entire wolf pack has them completely surrounded. Shanbai roars, ready to face the wolf pack. Qin Tian explains their strategy. Shanbai is the tank. Without their tank, he and Elin are vulnerable. But the wolves hesitate, wary of the fire. He realizes their advantage. The pack fears flames. Elin lights torches and they prepare to advance. He hurls a flaming brand into the darkness. The startled wolves scatter from the fire. Seeing his chance, he gives the signal. Shanbai charges, scattering the terrified pack. He warns her the wolves are devious and might return. They waste no time, pushing deeper into the forest. Desert Eagle circles above, guiding their path. They finally emerge from the suffocating jungle. The eagle suddenly veers off, sensing its nest is near. It soars towards a distant, pine-covered mountain. The team follows, beginning their ascent. He offers her a hand as the terrain gets steeper. But Elin is exhausted, unable to climb any further. He leaves her to rest, continuing the search alone. He digs his fingers into the sheer rock face. The climb is treacherous, a long way down. Suddenly, his handhold crumbles beneath his grip. He barely avoids a fatal fall to the ground below. With a final heave, he pulls himself over the edge. He collapses, exhausted from the grueling ascent. From the summit, he surveys the endless green canopy. But something on the horizon catches his attention. He spots a dormant volcano, a source of new resources. A sharp cry from Desert Eagle breaks his focus. He remembers their original mission, the chick. The eaglet is trapped on a steep, unreachable cliff. Climbing down is too risky, but he has a plan. He commands the mother eagle to retrieve her child. The plan works perfectly. He hoists the chick to safety. The mother and child are finally reunited. With the eaglet secured, they begin their descent. The climb down is even more treacherous than the ascent. He carefully picks his way down the sheer rock face. Exhausted but successful, he vows never to climb again. He returns to the base camp, but Elin is gone. He assumes she's out gathering supplies. But the sky darkens as a storm rolls in. Elin returns, riding Shanbai through the trees. He warns that heavy rain could cause landslides. Suddenly, Elin points frantically at the sky. An old biplane rumbles across the horizon. He realizes something is terribly wrong. She panics, but he tells her to stay calm. An airplane on this island changes everything. They race through the forest, chasing the sound. But the plane vanishes over the distant tree line. Qin Tian stops her, insisting they need a plan. He draws a map of their camp in the plane's path. Elin worries they don't have enough food for a detour. She suggests returning to camp to resupply first. He proposes a different solution: they should split up. She confidently agrees to travel back to camp alone. He remembers their talk about the rescued eaglet. He'd vowed to train it, already thinking of a name. Elin suggests naming the chick Small Eagle. He scoffs, defending his own brilliant names. The next morning, she gives him extracted pine oil. He confirms its usefulness before they part ways. Alone now, Qin Tian races through the forest. He stops, noticing the ground is strangely wet. He sends Desert Eagle to scout the path ahead. The massive bird soars high above the canopy. He links his vision, seeing water through its eyes. He realizes a river or lake must be near. Qin Tian decides to investigate the water himself. He discovers a vast, dangerous swamp. He considers taking a long but safer detour. But the swamp seems to block every path. He realizes going around isn't a good option. The place is crawling with infectious mosquitoes. He's forced to wade through the murky water. The sun beats down with intense heat. He notes the strange lack of rain. Suddenly, he senses something is wrong. A venomous green snake lunges from the vines. He dodges the fangs just in time, but Desert Eagle snatches the snake midair. He notes the snake's perfect vine-like camouflage. Reaching solid ground, he prepares to use his power. He activates his power, racing to the crash site, but his foot sinks into the muddy ground. The ground gives way, it's a patch of quicksand. He forces himself to stay calm, knowing the danger. He uses his bow to brace himself, buying time. He orders Desert Eagle to find him a long branch. With only 2 hours left, he clings to hope. The eagle delivers branches, but he needs more. He recalls the physics of non-Newtonian fluids. He quickly lashes the branches into a makeshift raft. The plan is to increase pressure on the surface. With a grunt, he pulls himself onto the raft. He collapses onto the platform, completely drained. The escape took an hour. He needs a new plan. A memory from a movie gives him a new idea. He dismantles the raft, selecting the driest sticks. He bundles them into 2 sets for his feet. He tests his new invention on the quicksand. Using poles, he glides across the surface like a skier. He finally reaches the crash site, wondering about survivors. The area is a marshy clearing in the forest. He finds the wrecked biplane, one wing torn off. Inside the cockpit, a blonde pilot begins to stir. She remembers flying into a storm and losing control. She's just grateful she managed to crash land safely. The pilot checks her plane, lucky to be unhurt. She surveys the swamp, wondering if she's alone. She calls out, hoping for a response, but her voice echoes across the empty marsh. She realizes she's stranded on a deserted island. As night falls, a sudden noise startles her. She whips around, demanding to know who's there. It's Qin Tian calling out from the tree line. He worries the pilot is injured and in danger. Desert Eagle signals and he orders it to lead him. He finally locates the crashed biplane. He's terrified he might be too late. He finds no blood, the pilot must have left. The old plane has no way to call for help. Suddenly, he hears a human voice. It's the pilot and she's running for her life. She screams a warning, crocodiles are coming. The system identifies the massive marsh predators. He scrambles onto the plane for safety. He reaches out, urging her to take his hand. He grabs her hand, pulling her up just in time. He yanks her onto the plane as a croc snaps below, but the momentum sends her tumbling into the cockpit. She lands awkwardly on top of a stunned Qin Tian. For a moment, he's completely captivated by her. A massive croc slams into the plane, breaking the spell. She quickly apologizes and scrambles off of him. She asks what's happening and he points outside. From the cockpit, they see they're completely surrounded. Qin Tian grabs his bow, ready to fight back. He fires an arrow, but it glances off the thick hide. The pilot suggests a new target, their eyes. He takes the shot, but it misses the vital spot. The moving targets are just too difficult to hit. His failed attacks have only enraged the beasts. The plane shakes violently under the assault. With time running out, he turns to the system. He spends his points on a new skill, Sagittarius Blessing. The pilot has her own idea, burn them with alcohol. But he stops her, insisting the alcohol is vital. He desperately demands she give him the lighter. She tosses it over, saving their precious alcohol. He tells her to stand back, he'll handle it. The system confirms his new superpower is ready. A blue aura flares as he activates the skill, but he feels nothing, wondering if it's fake. The pilot screams a warning as Crocs climb aboard. Qin Tian tells her to stay back and trust him. He coats an arrow in pine oil, creating a fire tip. His eyes glow with power as he takes aim. His vision transforms into a video game interface. The system calculates wind speed and trajectory. He focuses, making the final adjustments. The flaming arrow strikes the crocodile's eye. He takes down another, then a third. The pilot hands him another arrow to use. He fires again and again with deadly precision. Soon the entire pack lies dead in the marsh. She celebrates, calling Qin Tian her hero. She introduces herself as Jessica, but he struggles with English. She cycles through languages, confused by his identity. Her request for a phone reveals a huge technology gap. The language barrier is clearly frustrating them both. Back in the plane, she offers him some canned food. She opens the old-fashioned can with a smile. But Qin Tian freezes, spotting the date, 1928. He struggles to explain the food is nearly a century old. Unconcerned, she digs in, saying it's just beef. He tastes it, shocked that it's perfectly fine. After eating, she starts to doze off from exhaustion. Qin Tian declares the plane their shelter for the night. They settle in for a much-needed rest under the stars. Morning comes and he wakes to find Jessica gone. But she's just outside, greeting him by a small campfire. She marvels at his supplies, joking about his bag. He offers to make a proper meal, and she readily agrees. He uses a map to explain their situation on the island. He invites her to his camp, and she agrees to join them. Desert Eagle's sudden arrival shocks the pilot. She screams in alarm, thinking the massive bird is hostile. He calms her down, explaining the bird is his pet. With the misunderstanding cleared, they set off. But a strange, thick smoke soon fills the air. Even Desert Eagle seems disoriented by the haze. Jessica suddenly stops, needing to take a break. As she rests, Qin Tian surveys the strange fog. He watches the smoke, hoping it will clear soon. Suddenly, Jessica collapses without any warning. He feels a wave of weakness wash over him too. The smoke is poisonous and he falls to his knees. Qin Tian fights the poison, trying to wake Jessica. He realizes he's recovering faster than she is. An idea strikes, he pulls out Jessica's lighter. He hurls the lighter into the thickest part of the fog. A flash of fire confirms his suspicion. The smoke is actually flammable methane gas. Staying low helps, but they need to escape quickly. He apologizes before searching through Jessica's bag. It's a desperate move, but he needs to save them. He finds a first aid kit among her supplies. He can't read the English on the medicine bottles, but he finds a battery, a sudden spark of hope. He gathers supplies to build a makeshift device. He wires the pencil lead and spoon to the battery. His plan, use electrolysis to create pure oxygen from water. He watches the bubbles, confirming the process is working. He administers the pure oxygen to the unconscious pilot. Slowly, Jessica begins to regain consciousness. She sits up disoriented, asking him what happened. He explains they were surrounded by poisonous methane. The battery is dying, they must escape the swamp now. He urges her forward, saying they're almost clear. They crawl desperately out of the toxic methane cloud. Finally, they break free into the fresh, clean air. Too weak to travel, they make camp for the night. Meanwhile, Elin deals with a different kind of intruder. Pesky raccoons have stolen more of their fish. A familiar chirp breaks her from her frustration. She feeds the eaglet, telling it to grow up strong. But she worries Qin Tian has been gone for 3 days. The eaglet's frantic chirps draw Lin's attention skyward. She recognizes the bird. Qin Tian has returned. He emerges from the trees, calling out her name. But he's not alone. Elin is stunned to see a girl. He playfully asks if she missed him, flustering her. He introduces Jessica, tasking Elin with translation. But Jessica replies in fluent Chinese, shocking Qin Tian. He's floored, asking why she didn't speak Chinese sooner. He groans, realizing his communication struggle was pointless. That night, they finally get to know their new companion. Jessica reveals she's a paleontologist who crashed chasing a cryptid. Her flight path gives them a clue to their location. Jessica notices Elin seems thrilled to be on the island. For a paleontologist, this island is a living paradise. Her scientific gaze makes Shanbai extremely nervous. She calls their discovery the greatest of the 20th century. Elin gently corrects her, it's the 21st century. This reveal causes massive confusion about the timeline. They grow frustrated with her outdated knowledge. She sincerely apologizes, asking them to explain her mistake. Qin Tian gives her a crucial history lesson from 1949. She thinks it's a joke, insisting the year is 1927. Her certainty leaves both him and Elin speechless. He recalls the evidence, her story seems to add up. He asks her to state the year with total honesty. She confirms 1927, then asks for his answer, 2020. She's stunned, asking if they're from the future. She recounts flying into a sudden, violent storm. Elin realizes they all faced the same strange storm. Qin Tian theorizes the storm was a time-space rift. The time travel theory raises terrifying, unanswerable questions. Qin Tian cuts them off, demanding focus on survival. Jessica asks if the storm also brought the Titan python. She explains the snake shouldn't survive in this climate. Elin theorizes that heavy rain allows it to move. She confirms they've already seen 2 major storms. Jessica agrees rain could explain its limited activity. They conclude they're safe if they avoid its territory. Elin offers to take the night watch for a tired Qin Tian. But Jessica interrupts, asking if they're a couple. The question leaves them both completely flustered. Jessica teases Elin, asking about her intentions. She declares she'll share a bed with Qin Tian. She confesses her feelings, asking him to be her boyfriend. Elin's jealousy flares as a dark aura surrounds her. He tries to de-escalate, calling her impulsive. He awkwardly suggests they just stay friends for now. Undeterred, she agrees to get to know him slowly. He quickly offers to sleep in his own sleeping bag. He zips himself into the bag, ending the conversation. He quickly says goodnight, trying to escape. Elin reluctantly agrees, sensing a challenge. Jessica suddenly starts undressing, shocking everyone. She claims it's just for comfort, leaving him stunned. But Elin panics, trying to stop her rival. He peeks out, completely flustered by the situation. The 2 women greet him with menacing smiles. Elin's fury erupts, calling him a pervert. The next morning, Jessica greets him with a smile. He's flustered to find her waiting in her underwear. Elin appears, offering him 2 bowls of soup. She sweetly explains she cooked the broth just for him. But he recoils in horror, remembering her past cooking. Jessica asks if he upset her, but Elin plays it off. Jessica cuts to the chase, asking if Elin likes him too. She teases Elin about old Chinese customs. She proposes they share him, making Elin flee in embarrassment. Jessica finds her rival's shyness adorable, but maybe too tricky. Qin Tian finds Elin sulking and asks what's wrong. She declares she wants to build a bigger room, confusing him completely. He asks if Jessica upset her, but she's too flustered to answer. Elin admits to herself that Jessica is a tough rival. The next day, they gather to plan their future. Qin Tian outlines Stage 1, explore and secure the island. He decides to build a defensive fence around their camp. He also plans to domesticate wild boars for food. Exploring will also mean finding vital resources like iron. Stage 2 is their ultimate goal, building a ship to escape. Jessica offers to share the supplies from her bag. She pulls out a dress, offering it to a delighted Elin. Elin happily accepts the new clothes, making Qin Tian envious. He examines the modern iron tools Jessica also brought. The next morning, he and Shanbai find a bamboo forest. He has the system scan the surrounding area for threats. Desert Eagle soars overhead, scouting the vast forest. The system confirms no python. Jessica's theory was right. He rides Shanbai toward a massive pile of dung. He realizes the massive dung pile is a valuable resource. He tests the soil, discovering it's rich in nitrates. He begins digging, ready to make black powder for defense. He loads up Shanbai with the precious, nitrate-rich soil. Back at camp, the girls have found a large bathtub. Jessica confirms his theory about the soil's composition. He tells Elin to give their new guest a tour. The next day, their makeshift workshop is ready to go. He explains the first step, refining potassium nitrate. They pour the soil and ash mixture onto a bamboo mat. Slowly, he leaches the nitrates out with hot water. After a long day, the first stage is finally complete. But Elin questions his plan to make gunpowder. He confidently declares they're making a bomb. That night, Jessica is amazed by their stories of the future. He asks about her trip to China as a child. He awkwardly remembers a history lesson about her time. She reveals her father was a minister, keeping her sheltered. He's surprised to learn she comes from a wealthy family. He says wealth is meaningless here, they must survive. After 3 days, the filtered nitrate solution is ready. He carefully boils the solution, stirring constantly. As the water evaporates, the first crystals precipitate out. Jessica helps filter the solution one final time. As the water cools, pure potassium nitrate crystallizes. But a full day's work yields a disappointingly small amount. He notes the leftover brine is useless without soybeans. Exhausted from their work, the group stops to eat. He lays out the 3 key ingredients for black powder. He carefully measures the precise ratio for the mixture. Elin nervously asks if he's ready for the test. He lights the powder and it ignites in a flash. It's a success, they've created their first explosive. Jessica reminds them the powder must become a weapon. He explains the simple materials for a bamboo bomb. He carefully crafts a fuse from damp paper and powder. He layers mud, powder, and soil into the bamboo. The finished product is a simple, layered bamboo bomb. Jessica is suspicious of his bomb-making expertise. He awkwardly recalls a past, explosive incident. A flashback reveals a mischievous childhood prank. A young Qin Tian tosses the device inside. The prank ends with an explosion and furious yelling. The kids flee as angry adults yell from the building. He smiles, lost in the embarrassing childhood memory. Elin snaps him out of it, asking what's so funny. He awkwardly tries to brush off her question. He tells them to take cover while he tests the bomb. With everyone at a safe distance, he prepares to throw. He hurls the lit bamboo bomb with all his might. It soars through the air toward a rocky cliffside. A massive explosion echoes through the forest. The system confirms the test was a success. Jessica correctly notes the bomb's power is limited by its purity. He explains black powder is weak compared to modern explosives. He pets Shanbai, saying the bomb is just a deterrent. They work late, crafting 3 bombs with double the powder. Days later, they begin their next project, building a wall. But making bricks proves too slow, forcing them to give up. They switch plans, building a fence from sharpened wood. Mid-June arrives and he toils under the hot sun. The intense summer heat is taking its toll on him. He gratefully drinks the cool water Elin prepared. He remembers his large supply of potassium nitrate. He uses the chemical to create a cooling reaction. He pours in the crystals, but it's not cold enough. He uses more nitrate, pushing the ice to its limit. He crushes fresh raspberries for a special treat. He pours the juice over the ice, making a smoothie. He covers the dessert, waiting for the girls to return. Just then, Elin and Jessica arrive back at camp. Elin excitedly shows him a bunch of wild grapes. Jessica teases a blushing Elin about her surprise. He tells Jessica her hard work deserves a reward. He unveils his creation, a raspberry ice smoothie. The girls are blown away by the delicious, sweet treat. Elin compares the refreshing taste to surfing the sea. Jessica gets close, asking if it's some kind of magic. He explains the simple science behind the cooling effect. She praises his cleverness, making him blush. But Elin is too busy enjoying her food to listen. Later, they devise a new plan to make ice more efficiently. They create insulated pots to improve the cooling process. He explains their new insulated refrigerator system. Meanwhile, Jessica spends her days making wine. She carefully seals the jars to prevent spoilage. She finds Qin Tian carving wood, asking about his project. He clarifies he's only making fan blades, not a whole fan. His circular logic leaves both girls completely confused. He reveals his plan is for an automatic pneumatic fan. He unveils his design for a simple steam-powered fan. The girls are impressed, even suggesting improvements. Time passes and the heat of July finally arrives. They spent days building a steam boiler for their fan. The design uses steam to power the blades and recycles water. He even makes raspberry popsicles for the group. Shanbai is completely addicted to the frozen treats. With ice and popsicles, the summer heat is finally bearable. Elin worries about the eaglet, but Qin Tian reassures her. Suddenly, a violent storm rolls in without warning. Elin panics, their defensive fence isn't finished yet. But Qin Tian is confident their new bombs will protect them. The rain begins to pour down, bringing a familiar threat. A stampede of wild boars thunders through the forest. Qin Tian stands ready, eager to face the boar riot. Elin refuses to be left behind, ready to join the fight. They take positions on the watchtowers in the downpour. He draws his bow, determined to protect their camp. His first arrow finds its mark, taking down a boar. The clever herd splits into 2 groups to flank them. He orders Shanbai and the eagle to handle the left flank. Desert Eagle dives, talons bared for the attack. Shanbai roars, charging into the fray with brutal force. The forest echoes with the sounds of the storm and the herd. His pets hold one flank but his side is overwhelmed. He's startled by a sudden shout, "Bomb!" Elin throws a bomb, warning her friends to be careful. It soars through the rain, landing among the boars. The bomb detonates in a blinding flash of light. Terrified by the explosion, the boars scatter in panic. Shanbai capitalizes on the chaos, intimidating the herd. He smirks, telling them they won't escape so easily. His arrow finds its mark in a fleeing boar. Shanbai smashes another boar with a powerful blow. Desert Eagle swoops down, talons extended. The eagle slams its prey hard into a tree. From the trees, Qin Tian declares their victory. He decides not to wipe out the entire herd. The successful hunt secures them food for months. With their food supply stable, they build the fence. They finish just before the next major rainstorm. The island enters a long, relentless rainy season. He decides it's finally time to check on their wine. He opens the jar, revealing the fermented grape mixture. The girls are horrified, thinking the batch is ruined. He reassures them the foam is a normal part of fermentation. He begins filtering the mixture to remove impurities. He offers them a taste of their naturally brewed wine. Jessica recoils, the wine is incredibly sour. He claims it needs more time, but they realize he's made vinegar. He stops the taste test, announcing their next big project. His true goal, creating powerful distilled spirits. He explains the distillation process using a simple diagram. He tells Jessica the distillation will take all day. A clumsy slip of the tongue leaves him flustered. Elin arrives with ingredients for his secret project. He mixes the vinegar with sugar and baking soda. He offers them a taste of his new creation. They're shocked he's made a homemade soda. He explains it's basically a Chinese soft drink. A month passes, their camp is now a small village. The long, hot summer finally comes to an end. As autumn arrives, Elin calls for the eagle. Qin Tian thanks Elin for his new, comfortable clothes. She's proud of the hard work they put into them. He's especially impressed with his new pigskin backpack. He begins the next stage, exploring the island. Now well supplied, he plans a 10-day journey. Shanbai charges forward into the vast plains. He recalls the coyote threat, now armed with bombs. He makes camp grateful for their modern. The next morning, his target is the distant volcano. But the path is blocked by dense, thorny shrubs. He checks on Shanbai as they climb the steep hill. Shanbai seems unwell, but Qin Tian smells sulfur. He urges his companion to keep moving forward. He pushes on, cresting the top of the ridge. Before him lies a massive, open sulfur mine. He knows this sulfur is key to making more bombs. The volcano is a treasure trove of rare minerals. He finds a strange ore but can't identify it. He uses the system to scan the unknown mineral. The system confirms it's a valuable lead sulfide. For 2 days, he searches the volcano for minerals. He tries to mine the ore, but the ground is rock solid. He's trapped in a frustrating catch-22. An idea strikes him as Desert Eagle flies overhead. The eagle delivers a sweet, encouraging note from Elin. He blushes, deciding to focus on gathering sulfur. He approaches a strange lake, ready to collect samples. He carefully lowers a rope into the liquid. The rope sizzles, dissolving in the strong acid. The rest of his search proves fruitless. On the 8th day, he begins the journey home. His new route leads directly to the deadly swamp. He remembers how he and Jessica nearly died here. He realizes the fog's density changes over time. He deduces the poison is tied to the fog's density. He sends Desert Eagle to scout the area ahead. The system scans the vast, foggy landscape. The visibility is clear, confirming his theory. But the system detects something shocking: other humans. Leaving Shanbai behind, he charges in. He calculates his escape window in the deadly fog. He gives himself a final 500-meter limit. Suddenly, he spots figures in a clearing ahead. A band of Viking-like warriors surrounds a lone girl. But she's not afraid, she's furious. She explodes into action, sword flashing. She kicks off a shield, launching herself upward. She flips gracefully over her stunned opponent. Her blade crashes down on another warrior's helmet. Her eyes burn with deadly, focused rage. She whirls, blades flashing against 3 attackers. But she's surrounded, the warriors closing. With a fierce cry, she refuses to surrender. From the trees, Qin Tian watches the brutal fight. He realizes this is no act, they're fighting to kill. As she's cornered, he knows he has to intervene. He quickly mixes a new kind of bomb. The system confirms his smoke grenade is ready. But he hesitates, aiming his bow instead. He struggles with how to save her without killing. An arrow flies out, striking a warrior in the leg. The girl seizes the moment, rolling to safety. She flees into the woods, the warriors giving chase. He unleashes a volley of arrows to cover her escape. The warriors raise their shields, blocking the assault. She runs past his hiding spot, revealing an injury. He hurls the smoke grenade at the pursuing warriors. The grenade detonates, filling the air with thick smoke. He yells at the girl, who is frozen in place. She watches him retreat, stunned by his intervention. The Viking leader orders his men to pursue them. Furious warriors emerge from the disorienting smoke. He knows running is their only chance for survival. But her leg injury is slowing them down drastically. He tells her to climb on, he'll carry her. She refuses, urging him to save himself instead. She prepares to fight them alone to cover his escape. He sighs, done with her noble sacrifice act. Ignoring her protests, he hoists her onto his back. He pushes his speed, ready to use a bomb if needed. Desert Eagle sends a frantic warning, a Titanoboa. He realizes this swamp is the monster's true lair. The giant snake emerges, terrifying the Viking warriors. He tries to redirect the beast toward his pursuers, but the snake's glowing red eyes lock onto him. It ignores the Vikings, targeting him with pure malice. The creature lunges, its massive jaws snapping shut. He barely dodges the devastating strike. The injured girl suddenly leaps from his back. She lands perfectly on the snake's head, ready to fight. She plunges her blade deep into the snake's scales. The beast roars in agony, shaking its massive head. Its violent thrashing sends her flying through the air. She crashes hard onto the swampy ground. The Titanoboa lunges, its jaws wide open for the kill. But Qin Tian dives in, tackling her out of harm's way. He takes the brunt of the impact as they roll. They land in a heap, the monster looming over them. The enraged snake hisses, its eyes fixed on its prey. But something is wrong, its head begins to swell. Qin Tian taunts the snake, revealing his hidden trap. He tells the stunned girl it's time to escape. They flee as the wounded monster thrashes behind them. After a long run, he thinks they're finally safe. But the prehistoric beast is still relentlessly pursuing them. The Titanoboa closes the distance with terrifying speed. He runs for his life, desperately praying for a miracle. She panics, but he calmly tells her they'll be fine. He explains the explosion destroyed its heat-sensing organs. He suddenly screams a command for his companion to act. Desert Eagle swoops in from the sky. It acts as a decoy for the blinded snake. The eagle successfully leads the monster away. He realizes he's still holding the girl close. He announces they've finally escaped the swamp. But a new surprise waits at the forest's edge. She draws her sword, ready to protect him. Shanbai bows its head in a friendly greeting. He tells her to ride his pet to safety. She misunderstands, prostrating herself on the ground. He lifts the confused girl onto Shanbai's back. They flee the swamp, her serious injuries needing urgent care. Once safe, he offers her medicine for her wounds. He surprises her by sparking a modern lighter. She stares in awe as the fire instantly ignites. But she tries to cauterize her wound with a hot stick. He quickly stops her, offering a much better way. He warns her the treatment is still going to hurt. She barely flinches as he pours on the antiseptic. Her incredible toughness leaves him completely stunned. He tells her they need to bandage the wound. She tears off her skirt, flustering him completely. He tries to compose himself, completely embarrassed. He carefully pours the antiseptic on her leg. The girl blushes, gritting her teeth through the sting. He sets up a tent while she rests against a tree. Night falls as he finishes preparing their camp. The evening air grows cold, so he moves to help her. But she snaps awake, eyes blazing with suspicion. She attacks, mistaking his kindness for a threat. Qin Tian is stunned by her sudden aggression. She drives her fist right into his gut. The force of the blow sends them both to the ground. Realizing her mistake, she frantically apologizes. He invites her into the tent to get warm, but a loud growl from her stomach breaks the silence. She pats her stomach, clearly starving. He offers her a piece of dried pork. She accepts it reverently as if from a king, but she refuses the sleeping bag, standing guard instead. A new day dawns over the forest canopy. A sudden scream shatters the morning calm. He finds the girl ready to fight Desert Eagle. He explains the eagle was luring the Titanoboa away, but the language barrier makes communication impossible. He decides to bring her back to their home base. Elin and Jessica rush out to greet him. They were terrified after the eagle's warning note. Jessica immediately starts teasing him about the girl. The girl tries to ask about her bandages. The girl bows, thinking they're powerful witches, but Jessica can somehow understand her language. She turns to the others, revealing a shocking discovery. The girl, Nick Hanny, is from the Lada tribe. Elin recounts the tribe's mysterious disappearance in 1939. They vanished from their desert oasis without a trace. British soldiers found their village completely empty. They realized the tribe was also transported to this island. Jessica asks Hanny to confirm their impossible theory. Hanny's tribe arrived 3 years ago, 50 strong. Hanny reveals another group of invaders attacked her tribe. Elin suggests they form an alliance with Hanny's people. Hanny explains her tribe suffered from a food shortage. The fog is a massive barrier that splits the island. He realizes the fog gives them 3 months of safety. Hanny believes he's a wizard and asks for his help. Her people call powerful men monks, not wizards. Jessica explains his modern tech seems like magic to her, but Jessica suggests they use this misunderstanding. He agrees to the deception to secure their alliance. Hanny kneels down, worshipping him as her savior. Jessica asks how long it will take them to learn Arabic. Qin Tian panics, realizing the massive language barrier, but the system offers him an instant solution. With a plan set, Jessica takes Hanny to get cleaned up. She offers to help the shy girl change her clothes. Jessica insists, helping her clean her many wounds. As night falls, Elin calls everyone for dinner. She's prepared an incredible feast for their new guest. They all share a meal, a moment of peace and unity. Hanny is overwhelmed, having starved for so long. She takes a bite, her eyes wide with delight. The joy turns to sorrow for her lost tribe. He decides to sleep outside, giving Hanny space. But Hanny refuses the bed, sleeping on guard in a corner. The next day, Jessica begins teaching them Arabic. He stretches in relief as the lesson concludes. Elin suggests building a boat to reach the tribe. He agrees, deciding to gather wood that afternoon. While chopping wood, he spots Hanny approaching. She offers to help him cut wood despite her injury. But Hanny ignores his protests, determined to contribute. She swings her stone axe with incredible force. He's stunned by her raw, one-handed strength. With her help, they gather enough wood in 3 days. The next day, the others head out to find resources. Qin Tian begins the process of melting down pyrite ore. He and Hanny work together on a makeshift furnace. He carefully removes the molten steel from the heat. Now the difficult work of forging begins. He proudly presents his first piece of forged iron. But the pyrite ore yields a disappointingly small amount. He asks Hanny to help him forge iron nails. Despite the language barrier, they grow comfortable together. He notices how much healthier she looks now. He gets flustered, catching himself staring at her. That night, they pour molten iron into a mold. Elin worries their seasonal fruit will soon spoil. He dismisses her idea, having a better plan. He suggests they make canned fruit instead. The boat is delayed, they now need silicon for glass. He finds the perfect silicon, earning a playful jab. Suddenly, Elin finds a sparkling gold nugget. It's confirmed to be high-quality, pure gold. Hanny appears holding a fist-sized chunk of gold. He asks where she found the massive treasure. The riverbed ahead glitters with countless gold flakes. Jessica then discovers a massive 10-carat diamond. They realize this isn't just an island, it's a treasure trove. Overjoyed, they celebrate their incredible fortune. He reminds them their priority is still finding silicon. They return to camp, carrying baskets of resources. He begins grinding the other ingredients for glass. He explains glassmaking is simpler than forging iron. Elin and Jessica work together to shape the blowpipe. He demonstrates the delicate art of glass blowing. To Hanny, turning rock into liquid is pure magic. He carefully spins the pipe to shape the glass. His first attempt fails, but he plays it off cool. He offers Elin a chance to try her hand. She blows and the molten glass begins to swell. Jessica gives Elin a simple instruction for shaping. Qin Tian is stunned. She creates an opening on her first try. She spins the pipe with intense, focused precision. She presents her first creation, critiquing its uneven shape. Jessica praises her badass skills, but Elin is just confused. Qin Tian pulls out the massive diamond to cut the bottle. Elin suggests a rotating table to perfect their craft. He presents the finished bottle to a stunned Hanny. He can now understand her but decides to hide it. The team divides their labor, mastering new skills. Meanwhile, Qin Tian and Hanny gather bomb materials. During a meal, he has a brilliant new idea. He suggests they build a telescope for scouting. He explains the science behind 2 different designs. They decide on the more complex Kepler model. The next day, he builds a makeshift potter's wheel. Elin uses the device to shape a mud funnel. She carefully sands the mold using a leaf. After hours of work, they have 5 finished molds. They pour liquid crystal into the molds to create lenses. He and Elin carefully adjust the lenses by hand. The telescope works, bringing distant birds into focus. Elin tests the scope, which magnifies up to 8 times. Hanny peers through it, calling it the God's Eye. They also craft magnifying glasses for starting fires. With all their tools ready, it's time to build a boat. They discuss the boat design, limited by their resources. Qin Tian decides on a 2-hulled catamaran for stability. Jessica volunteers to handle the paddling, citing experience. Elin praises Jessica's incredible range of skills. With the plan set, the team begins construction. Qin Tian even adds a small cockpit for shelter. After a week of hard work, the boat is complete. That night, Hanny uses the telescope to watch the stars. She prays for her father, promising rescue is coming. Elsewhere, Elin finds a pensive Qin Tian. He's anxious about their first voyage tomorrow. She reminds him that Jessica is an expert pilot. A quiet, awkward moment passes between them. Elin asks him to promise he'll return safely, but Jessica interrupts, fresh from a bath. A flustered Elin tells her to cover up. The next morning, they prepare to set sail. He instructs Elin to stay safe at the camp. He entrusts her safety to Shanbai and they depart. Elin feels sad but resolves to protect their home. Out on the water, the team feels the ocean breeze. Hanny explains sailing is now a way of life for her people. She silently vows to bring these saviors to her tribe. Jessica warns him about the dangerous rip currents. She confidently takes the lead on their voyage. The brutal noon sun forces them to take shelter. With no wind, they're forced to paddle by hand. The grueling work quickly exhausts the team. As night falls, they finally reach the other side. Jessica calculates they've crossed half the island. They gather by the fire, hoping to arrive tomorrow. As the expert, Jessica takes the lonely night watch. but something suddenly rocks the boat in the dark. Qin Tian wakes up, startled by the noise. He's surprised he only slept for a few hours. Unable to rest, he decides to join her watch. Jessica is happy to have company by the fire. He asks about her adventures as a paleontologist. She begins describing the terrifying megalodon. He nervously asks her to change the subject, but she just switches to another giant sea monster. They finally settle on a less threatening topic. He listens as she talks through the quiet night. The next morning, a strong wind speeds their journey. Desert Eagle circles as they finally spot the coast. An overjoyed Hanny announces they've finally arrived. The team makes landfall, stepping onto the new shore. She's unsure of the exact location of her village. Hanny warns the other invaders patrol this very coast. The next morning, their trek begins through the woods. Hanny suddenly recognizes the path to her home. They find the village, but it's eerily silent. The eagle reports many people, their identities unknown. Qin Tian suggests he scout the village alone, but Hanny sprints ahead, ignoring his caution. Inside, her tribe argues about a failed rescue. Hanny bursts in, silencing the entire village. Her people rush to her, relieved but concerned. She learns her father, the chief, is gone. He was captured by invaders while searching for her. She vows to save him, but an elder urges patience. Hanny shouts, demanding everyone listen to her. She reveals she crossed the deadly fog barrier. She announces she met the legendary Mighty One. The tribe is stunned, calling it an ancient myth. A woman urges Hanny to rest, calling her the strongest. But a scarred warrior named Kata challenges her faith. He demands to see this so-called savior now. A sudden cry from the sky interrupts them. Desert Eagle dives toward the terrified villagers. They panic at the massive bird's incredible speed. Qin Tian appears, the eagle perched on his arm. An elder explains their legends foretold his arrival. He decides to show them the almighty power of science. With a flick, he summons a flame from his hand. The tribe stares in awe at the impossible fire. They believe it's magic, a sign he's their savior. The entire tribe drops to their knees in worship. But Kata, the scarred warrior, wants a real test. Hanny boasts of his power, but Qin Tian urges caution. The challenge only makes Kata more eager to fight. In a blur, Qin Tian is before him. The tribe is stunned by his inhuman speed. Kata is frozen, a finger pressed to his head. Qin Tian offers a challenge, stand and he'll fight. The warrior roars, straining with all his might. But he's completely paralyzed, unable to move. Qin Tian taunts him as the warrior exhausts himself. The tribe is convinced their savior has arrived. Since he failed the test, the duel is off. He releases Kata, simply telling him to stand. The warrior stares, his disbelief turning to awe. Qin Tian meets his gaze, his power undisputed. He's relieved, his biomechanics trick was a success. The elder begs the Mighty One to save them. Jessica appears, stunning the tribe with her presence. The elder proclaims her the Mighty Woman. Jessica admits she followed him and saw the whole act. She teases him, saying his secrets make him attractive. He declares they were sent to answer their prayers. The elder offers them a place to rest for the night. He leads them to a hut reserved for the aboves. He asks about Hanny, who's catching up with her tribe. Hanny regales her tribe with tales of his power. She presents the telescope, a gift from the Mighty One. But Kata dismisses it as magic, not real strength. Meanwhile, they analyze the tribe's low numbers. A young girl enters, offering them a meal. Jessica learns the girl's name is Abby Elu. She offers their help, sensing the girl's pain. Abby bursts into tears, pleading for their help. He promises to help, comforting the crying child. He offers her some food, making her blush. The girl is stunned she's allowed to eat. Jessica learns she hasn't eaten in a full day. Abby apologizes, confirming the tribe's food shortage. She explains their people are slowly starving. Qin Tian realizes their situation is truly dire. A villager brings an offering, scolding the girl. But Qin Tian protects her, saying she can stay. He's offered a feast, far more than Abby had. He gives the food back for the starving tribe. He asks them to stop the worship, promising change. Qin Tian offers the tribe a bag of smoked meat. The elder Hamel weeps with overwhelming gratitude. Their savior's arrival brings both hope and fear. Hamel feels the weight of leadership but is relieved. He feels the burden, but Jessica reminds him he's not alone. She rallies him with a proverb about their combined strength. The next morning, a voice calls for the Mighty Ones. The village is deserted. Everyone is out foraging for food. The elder offers fresh fruit, a token of their admiration. The tribe's warriors want to fight by his side. Jessica explains he's too weak to fight directly. He plays along, claiming he can only scout. The elder weeps, moved by his sacrifice. He sets out with a boy to find the enemy camp. They travel cautiously toward the invaders' territory. The next morning, they finally spot the settlement. He identifies the invaders, they're Vikings. He knows negotiation with them is impossible. The boy suddenly spots his captured people. They see the enslaved tribesmen forced into hard labor. He notes their weak defenses, sensing a greater threat. Suddenly, the eagle warns him of an approaching patrol. Qin Tian quickly pulls the boy into hiding. A group of Vikings passes, arguing amongst themselves. Frustrated with their search, the leader calls for a break. The men gossip about a warrior's encounter with a monster. He recounts how a beast called Jormungandr ate a comrade. Another Viking scoffs, calling him a coward unworthy of Valhalla. They reveal they're seeking the Fountain of Youth. With a sea monster guarding the coast, it's their only way out. The Vikings speculate the fountain is hidden by deadly frost. But sea monsters trap everyone on this island. With their break over, the patrol moves out. One dreams of the fountain's power, earning a rebuke. Qin Tian overhears their talk of magic and a map. He realizes their map is his only way home. The boy asks what he's thinking so intently about. He's stunned Qin Tian can understand the invader's language. Qin Tian plays it off as a gift for learning languages. With enough intel, he retreats to plan with Jessica. Footsteps echo through the darkening woods. A group of Vikings chase down fleeing tribesmen. Kata carries a fallen comrade, but the enemy is close. He orders his companion to abandon the wounded man. If the hunters are caught, the entire tribe will starve. The injured man begs Kata not to leave him behind. Kata shoves him away, telling him to be a soldier. They abandon their friend to the approaching Vikings. The other warrior justifies the brutal sacrifice. But the boy Nick appears, witnessing their betrayal. Nick fires an arrow, challenging the Viking leader. Kata tells his ally to fight fast and silent. The boy bravely clashes with the Viking warrior. Kata knows their stone weapons are useless against shields. He tries a desperate attack with a wooden stick. The Viking easily blocks the blow. His primitive weapon is no match for their steel. His companion cries out as Kata is cornered. But Nick tells him to stop and look. Kata realizes the boy has a plan, a diversion. The Vikings mock the boy, ready to play with their prey. But from the shadows, Qin Tian emerges. He helps the terrified Kata to safety. Qin Tian reassures him, praising Nick's bravery. He sends Desert Eagle to warn the young warrior. Nick gets the signal and rallies his allies to fight. A Viking charges, underestimating the boy's resolve. But Nick dodges and lands a vicious blow. Meanwhile, Kata holds his ground against another foe. The scarred warrior prepares to unleash his full strength. Kata smashes his club against the Viking's shield. The Viking leader panics, ordering his men to sound a horn. Their ally boasts that Nick and Kata can defeat them alone. But in a flash, two Vikings are cut down. A spear whistles silently through the evening. Kata unleashes a devastating lightning-fast throw. It finds its mark, impaling another Viking. Nick warns the horn means reinforcements are coming. He senses more enemies closing in from all sides. They report to Qin Tian, worried about the signal horn. Qin Tian orders everyone to find cover immediately. A new Viking leader bursts onto the scene. He mocks the other Vikings for their slow speed. The leader scoffs at the dead, calling them weak. He orders his men to hide the trail for a bigger reward. Meanwhile, Qin Tian tends to the wounded tribesmen. The other warrior apologizes for his earlier cowardice. They carry their injured comrade through the twilight forest. As night falls, the group finds shelter in a hidden cave. Inside, he asks Kata if the Vikings found their village. Kata explains they were ambushed while foraging for food. Their stomachs rumble loudly, a sign of their desperation. Qin Tian offers them some of his rations. The warrior who was abandoned asks Kata for his share. He argues it's fair compensation for being left behind. But another warrior slaps him, blaming him for the ambush. Qin Tian sees they all sacrifice for the tribe's survival. The next morning, they return to the village unharmed. The guards welcome back the Mighty One and the warriors. He hands off the injured man, needing to speak with Jessica. Inside the hut, they begin to strategize. He confirms the invaders are Vikings, about 100 strong. Jessica is thrilled, preferring to study their skulls. He asks about Jormungandr, the mythical world serpent. He connects it to Titanoboa, then mentions Leviathan. She explains it's a massive whale-like sea monster. She assures him whales stay in deep water. He wonders if the myths are real on this island. Jessica confirms the Fountain of Youth is a famous legend. A pirate supposedly hid its power in a magical chalice. Jessica suggests asking the elders about the legends. She confirms the tribe is on the verge of starvation. Qin Tian realizes they must solve the food crisis now. He proposes borrowing food from the Vikings. He draws a map, pinpointing the enemy's food supply. The plan is to lure the Vikings with a fake treasure. They must prepare for any guards who stay behind. But freeing the chained prisoners will be difficult. Qin Tian reveals he has another trick up his sleeve. The next morning, a tribesman offers them a meal. Qin Tian asks the elder about the tribe's craftsman. The elder knows just the person, a master craftsman. He introduces a Lux, who forges all their weapons. He's impressed by her expertly crafted stone weapons. He stops the elder, content to just watch her work. She hones a stone spearhead with intense focus. She expertly fastens the head onto a wooden shaft. She inspects the finished spear, critiquing her own work. She finally notices them, stunned by their presence. He praises her skill, asking for help with a project. He asks her to create special containers and tubes. She eagerly accepts, promising to make perfect pottery. Next, he asks the elder for any leftover bones. The elder panics, thinking it's for a death curse. His imagination runs wild with visions of dark magic. Jessica clarifies he just wants to make a useful tool. The elder explains bones are sacred offerings to the earth. He leads them to a massive pile of animal remains. Qin Tian confirms it's perfect and sends him away. He explains the chemical process to create phosphorus. Jessica questions his plan to make white phosphorus. He attaches a small tube to Desert Eagle's leg. He sends the bird to scout for food and other tribes. They realize the forest is barren, the tribe's plight severe. Suddenly, a tribesman calls out from the bushes. The man Aruba was hunting despite an injured leg. He was waiting for a snake, but Qin Tian spots a leaf. Aruba proudly shows off the large leaf he found. Qin Tian and Jessica instantly recognize it. Taro leaves. He demands to be taken to where the plant grows. Aruba leads them to a clearing in the jungle. They've discovered a field of taro, a starchy root vegetable. Jessica is thrilled, but the tribesman is utterly confused. He panics, insisting that this plant isn't food. He describes the pain of eating it. Qin Tian explains it's only poisonous before it's cooked. The warrior is skeptical, recalling how it burned his mouth. He tries to grab the leaves, but Qin Tian stops him. The man despairs, thinking there's not enough to eat. But Jessica reveals the edible root growing underground. They dig up the taro, using their clothes as bags. Back at the village, the tribe is still skeptical. Qin Tian and Jessica prepare to boil the roots. He explains boiling is the only way to cook them. The starving villagers watch the pot with anticipation. When it's done, a splendid aroma fills the air. He offers the first piece to the grateful tribe. They grab the food, burning their hands in haste. The taste is incredible, a feast for the starving. The elder is overcome, calling it a divine gift. The elder weeps, relieved they won't starve anymore. Qin Tian and Jessica watch the emotional display. He helps the elder up, promising more food for all. The delicious aroma reaches the rest of the village. He confirms the pots are filled with food for them. The warriors celebrate, amazed by the abundance. Returning hunters are baffled by the joyous commotion. The elder quiets the crowd, thanking the mighty one. He then presents Qin Tian to address the tribe. With a triumphant shout, he declares dinner is served. The tribe erupts in a massive joyous cheer. Amid the feast, a young girl approaches them. She explains that Abby Elu wants to speak with him. Abby shyly thanks him, offering a small handmade gift. He accepts it graciously, patting her on the head. The warriors watch, impressed by his kindness. Even the skeptical Kata seems to be warming up to him. Later, Qin Tian gathers the tribe to speak. He explains the taro field won't last forever. They must build ships and rescue their captured people. The tribe sets up a secret shipbuilding camp on the beach. Qin Tian checks in with Alux, the master craftswoman. She's created beautifully carved pottery for his plan. Jessica marvels at the professional-grade craftsmanship. With the equipment ready, he gathers seashells from the shore. Jessica is tasked with boiling seawater into a salt brine. They mix the ingredients, starting a chemical reaction. He carefully filters the precipitate through a cloth. A diagram shows his complex plan to create acid. He completes the final step, producing a pure solution. He boils the solution, leaving a pure white powder. After a long day, his chemical experiment is a success. Jessica eagerly suggests they test his creation. He ignites the powder, creating a blinding flash. A nearby tribesman witnesses the light, calling it witchcraft. That evening, the tribe enjoys another meal of taro. A young girl calls for him outside his hut. Inside, he shows the craftswoman Alux his new plans. He presents a diagram for a tenon joint for shipbuilding. She's amazed by the design, confident she can build it. Alux explains the complex joints will take 5 days. Jessica suggests a shortcut, cutting the time to 3 days. He entrusts her with the tribe's survival. Outside, Desert Eagle returns from its mission. The bird has brought back glass lab equipment. It also carried a note confirming someone's safety. He begins his next project, making white phosphorus. He mixes the bone powder with sand and toner. The mixture heats up, starting a chemical reaction. He carefully collects the toxic gas that is produced. Jessica warns him that white phosphorus is too dangerous. He agrees, deciding to make safer matches instead. He recalls the history of the improved design. The key is using red phosphorus, which is far more stable. First, he needs to produce potassium chlorate. He begins the long and delicate chemical process. He extracts chlorine from seawater to create a new solution. Cooling the mixture allows the crystals to form. He and Jessica carefully prepare the wooden sticks. With all the materials gathered, they're finally ready. He mixes the ingredients for the match head. The key components are potassium chlorate and red phosphorus. He tells Jessica to prepare the striking surface. She teases him, asking him to be gentle. With a quick strike, the match ignites. Jessica celebrates their success, but he panics. Next, he begins making powerful aqua regia. He boils the mixture, creating a red-brownish gas. Jessica helps cool the solution for the final step. Exhausted, they decide to check on the shipbuilding. At the shipbuilding camp, Alux and Nick work tirelessly. The young warrior suddenly spots their visitors arriving. Nick excitedly greets the mighty ones. He thanks Qin Tian for the godly medicine. Alux proudly presents the 6 boats they've built. Qin Tian inspects their work, impressed by the quality. He says they'll need more boats for the rescue. 4 days later, he gathers the tribe for a gift. He introduces them to a new tool, the match. The tribesmen are baffled by the strange fire stick. The young girl lights a match, calling it pure magic. But Qin Tian knows it's just simple chemistry. She shows the flame to Alux, who is equally amazed. Qin Tian announces he will teach everyone how to use them. He demonstrates the simple striking motion. The tribesmen stare in wonder as their own sticks ignite. They celebrate, knowing the matches must be used wisely. A warrior marvels at the tool's convenience. Even the skeptical Kata grudgingly agrees. Qin Tian rallies the tribe, declaring it's time to save their people. The tribe rallies, chanting for victory and their saviors. Jessica announces it's time to select the rescue team. She introduces 2 sibling guards, masters of ranged combat. Next is Vuru, a veteran warrior who wields 2 axes. He realizes only 7 warriors are truly fit for the fight. He explains the final details of the rescue mission. Jessica senses his tension about the upcoming battle, but she sees he still lacks the will to kill. She warns him that hesitation against these killers is fatal. Her cold logic leaves him stunned and silent. She gives him one last, chilling warning to be ruthless. The next night, the rescue mission is underway. Inside the Viking camp, 2 guards complain by a fire. They reveal their own supplies are dangerously low. Suddenly, one of them spots a strange light outside. A brilliant beacon erupts from the dark forest. The Vikings believe it's the fountain of youth. The entire camp mobilizes, torches in hand. But a lone guard remains, fishing on the dock. His fishing line suddenly begins to pull taut. The water ripples as a shark circles his bait. The Viking grins, feeling a powerful tug on his line. He yanks hard, pulling a massive shark from the sea. But another Viking captain appears, harpoon at the ready. He hurls his weapon, striking the beast with deadly force. His men cheer for their captain, Sen. Inside, a Viking asks Grim where the captain is. He praises Sen for his impressive catch. The captain threatens him for the interruption. The man points to the forest, reporting the treasure beacon. The captain scoffs, mocking his crew's greed. A lone Viking thinks the light is a good omen. The rest of the camp charges into the forest. 2 men lag behind, sure the captain will betray them. The captain grins, ready to hunt down the treasure. But the beacon of light suddenly starts moving. The Vikings are ordered to chase it down. Back at the camp, a group of guards remains. Qin Tian sees his lure left the back gate open. He leaves the archer siblings to provide cover. He, Nick, and Kata will form the infiltration team. They reach the camp wall, but it's far too high. Without a word, Nick leaps clear over the palisade. Qin Tian is speechless. The warrior's strength is unreal. Refusing to be shown up, he prepares to follow. He activates a skill, vaulting over the wall with ease. The area is deserted, just as he planned. He wonders where the guards went, then presses forward. They burst through a door, revealing rows of cages. The captured tribesmen recognize Nick, warning him of danger. Nick reassures his captive father of their rescue. Qin Tian orders Kata to stand guard at the door. He quickly mixes the highly corrosive aqua regia. He warns the prisoners to stay clear of the acid. He carefully pours the solution onto the iron chains. The metal dissolves instantly, stunning the captives. As he works, he realizes many prisoners are missing. He pushes the thought aside, urging everyone to move. Suddenly, a loud alarm horn echoes through the camp. The archers see guards rushing to the prison cells. From the darkness, flaming arrows rain down. They strike the food warehouse, setting it ablaze. The Viking leader splits his forces to fight the fire, but he leads the main group toward the prison cells. Qin Tian realizes the diversion didn't fully work. The weakened prisoners struggle to escape over the wall. With no time left, he ignites an explosive. He hurls it at the approaching Viking guards. The device lands right at their feet. A deafening explosion rocks the entire camp. The blast stuns the prisoners, who are slow to escape. He knows one bomb is just a temporary delay. A Viking guard is sent flying through the smoke. Nick shoves Qin Tian aside, intercepting a new threat. A massive Viking captain charges through the chaos. He roars, vowing that no one will escape him. Nick blocks the powerful axe strike with his arms. The captain taunts him, promising a brutal end. The other guards are still reeling from the explosion. Qin Tian hopes the prisoners get out safely. The Viking captain offers a bounty for every tribal head. Driven by greed, his warriors charge forward for the kill. Qin Tian scoffs, preparing another explosive arrow. But Kata intercepts the charge, claws at the ready. He holds the line, buying precious time for the escape. The young archer girl leaps in, blocking a fatal blow. She tells Qin Tian to focus on rescuing the prisoners. He's trapped, unable to leave his warriors behind. Suddenly, a volley of flaming arrows rains from the sky. A Viking's shield is pierced, the attack catching him off guard. The white phosphorus arrows ignite on impact. Qin Tian sees his chance to strike from afar. His arrow finds its mark, crippling a Viking. But he's spotted the man in strange clothes. An axeman charges him from a side alley. The Viking swings, screaming about his gold. but the killing blow is suddenly intercepted. Nick's father steps in ready to fight. He tells Qin Tian to get to the wall. The chief hoists him up to safety. The chief intercepts the blade with his bare arm. He counters with a devastating punch to the gut. The Vikings scream for the old warrior's head, but the chief's eyes burn with cold fury. He unleashes a brutal kick, sending another guard flying. Qin Tian realizes the chief is a one-man army. The Viking captain orders his men to kill the chief, but the old warrior moves like a phantom through their ranks. Qin Tian sees the chief is fine, but Kata is in trouble. The warrior is exhausted, facing a massive axeman alone. The Viking swings his axe, screaming for the kill. Qin Tian knows Kata's wooden staff won't last. The other guards are already recovering from the blast. With no other choice, he lights another device. He hurls it, yelling for everyone to close their eyes. A blinding light erupts across the courtyard. His magnesium flash bomb is a simple but effective tool. He yells for his team to escape over the wall. His warriors vault over the palisade to safety. He prepares a smoke bomb, hoping it buys them more time. The Vikings rage below, blinded by the smoke. Their captain orders them to follow the footprints. The search party ventures into the dark forest. The captain threatens to kill anyone who fails. With torches lit, the Vikings begin their hunt. Qin Tian knows multiple search parties are after them. They must reach the coast before the island is overrun. Suddenly, they spot more torches in the distance. The young warrior alerts him to the approaching patrol. They hide in the bushes as the Vikings pass by. Qin Tian knows the torches are a fatal weakness. For half an hour, they easily evade the patrols. He uses their own light against them. The rescued prisoners feel a glimmer of hope, but one Viking stops, trusting his instincts. He smells blood, the trap has been sprung. The warriors burst from the shadows to fight. The Vikings are caught completely off guard. The chief lands the first devastating blow. The young archer follows, striking with lethal speed. The chief shatters his chains with pure force. The Vikings panic, calling for reinforcements. A war horn blares through the dark woods. The archer siblings arrive, providing backup. Qin Tian is shaken by the brutal reality of the fight. He knows the horn has exposed their location. More Vikings swarm the forest, hungry for blood. Surrounded by torches, he knows there's only one way out. He plans to be the decoy so the others can escape, but he insists he's the only one who can pull it off. He gives his final order, obey Jessica's plan. He hurls another flash bomb at the approaching guards. Coughing, he sprints through the disorienting smoke. The chief tells Nick not to waste this sacrifice. With heavy hearts, they follow the escape route. The Vikings spot the lone figure and give chase. Blinded or not, they won't let the bounty escape. The decoy is working, now he just has to survive. He activates a skill, moving with impossible speed. The Vikings see his power and sound the main horn. He's confident he can pick them off one by one. But a new horn blast echoes with a chilling tone. He breaks into a desperate sprint through the woods. He realizes they're conducting a blanket search. The horn pinpointed his location. He's being surrounded. Knowing his team's route, he prepares a final gamble. He watches a lone Viking patrol from the shadows. He pulls out his last device, a final flick. He hurls it toward the unsuspecting guard. A blinding flash erupts, engulfing the Vikings in light. The flare reveals his position and the chase is on. He sprints for his life, running straight for a cliff. The Vikings think he's trapped, but this was the plan. He leaps into the abyss without a moment's hesitation. Mid-fall, he slams his fists against the rock wall, deploying a makeshift hang glider from his pack. He prays to every god he knows as he soars away. The Vikings stare down, baffled by his disappearance. Another Viking leader arrives, furious at the failure. He accuses the guard of letting their only target escape. He rages, furious they let the target escape. He demands an explanation from a guard named Stein. Stein describes Qin Tian's impossible speed and magic. The captain orders him to search the cliff base. He mocks the terrified guard's fear of heights. Then he kicks the man straight off the cliff. His men watch their comrade fall to his doom. The captain demands they find a way down to the body. Far below, waves crash against the sheer rock. Qin Tian reflects on his perfect, unclimbable escape route. He knows the pirates fear a leviathan below. His calculations show he's safe from the tide until morning. He realizes this is no longer a game of survival. As dawn breaks, he wonders if his team escaped. Far away, the rescued tribe reaches the shore. Jessica is relieved but asks where their savior is. They learn he faced the pirates alone as a decoy. But Jessica smiles, certain he will not be harmed. Meanwhile, Qin Tian shivers, soaked by the cold fog. He overhears the Vikings above, searching for his corpse. He knows the Vikings won't give up their hunt. He's trapped between the cliff and the endless sea. He gathers wood, trusting Jessica has a rescue plan. But the waves would shatter any raft he could build. A sand eagle circles overhead, a welcome sight. The bird lands, it's a messenger from Jessica. He writes his location and a warning for her. He attaches the note securely to the eagle's leg. The bird takes flight, carrying his only hope. Now all he can do is wait for her plan. Qin Tian settles in, expecting a long wait. but a boat suddenly appears on the horizon. It's a simple log raft, moving at incredible speed. He realizes his rescue came by waterway. Nick and Kata arrive with an exhausted warrior. The rescue party is too tired to continue. They make camp on a sea reef for the night. The next day, they prepare to set off again. Qin Tian offers to help, but they tell him to rest. Back on the beach, Jessica watches the horizon. Jessica reassures a child that their savior will be fine. A lookout spots the rescue party returning to shore. Their raft cuts through the water at sunrise. The tribe cheers but notices the rescuers look exhausted. He brushes off Jessica's concern, hiding his fatigue. She confirms their fleet is prepared to set sail. With a final order, they begin their great escape. The fleet of 9 rafts sails away under cover of night. Jessica orders the ships to anchor and wait for morning. Exhausted from the ordeal, Qin Tian finally gets some rest. Qin Tian finally opens his eyes after a long rest. Jessica offers him a warm meal, urging him to eat. He asks if her part of the plan went smoothly. He recounts the harrowing details of the escape. She's just relieved he's safe, now they can go home. But back at the tribal village, a new threat arrives. A new Viking war party storms the village gates. Their leader sneers, vowing to capture them all. At his command, the warriors charge into the village. But a scout reports the village is completely empty. The Viking leader rages, ordering a relentless search. The tribe arrives at a new shore in awe of their new home. Qin Tian leads them toward his camp, an hour's walk away. Suddenly, a deafening roar echoes from the mountains. He calmly explains it's just his pet, amazing the tribe. As they approach the camp, the sound grows louder. A pink-haired girl welcomes them with a cheerful smile. The entire tribe bows, hailing her as their mighty mistress. He realizes they mistook his message about returning. Jessica calls his name, noticing his exhaustion. Jessica winks, offering to handle the new arrivals. He turns to face Elin, speechless. She throws her arms around him in a tight embrace. Tears stream down her face, she feared he was gone forever. He holds her close, apologizing for his absence. He reassures her that he's back safe and sound. Meanwhile, the rescued tribe gathers for a hot meal. They marvel at the delicious food, a feast for them. The tribe members spot them, hailing their saviors. He realizes the camp is now far too crowded to live in. Jessica playfully interrupts, asking if they're done. She moves in, declaring it's her turn for a hug. He thanks Jessica for making their safe return possible. The rescued tribe finally enjoys a proper, filling meal. He orders the vulnerable to sleep inside the caves. The rest of the tribe sleeps outside, protected by fire. He finally gets a moment to rest in a hot bath. With everyone safe, the camp settles into a peaceful sleep. For the first time in days, there is hope. A new day dawns, bringing relief to the camp. Qin Tian groans, slowly waking from a deep sleep. He finds himself pinned between Jessica and Elin. He tries to wake the girls, who just want to sleep. The tribe divides into 3 teams to start working. One group follows Qin Tian to harvest bamboo. Jessica takes another team to fish for more food. The final group stays behind with Elin for camp chores. He oversees the construction of new bamboo shelters. She's happy, but he plans for permanent homes. Jessica's team returns with a massive catch of fish. That night, the tribe celebrates its newfound freedom. Jessica pulls Elin up, inviting her to dance. The tribal chief approaches Qin Tian for a private talk. Qin Tian is stunned when the chief speaks English. Another tribesman questions their strange conversation. The chief claims it's a sacred language for leaders. He reveals he learned English from the British military. The chief bows, thanking him for saving their people. He declares Qin Tian is their prophesied mighty one. The chief pledges his tribe's unwavering loyalty to him. The next day, Qin Tian addresses the housing crisis. Elin's team is assigned to make pottery bricks. Jessica's team is sent to collect seashells. He leads the third team, clearing the surrounding forest. He praises the teams for their hard work. A tribesman asks how shells can build a house. He explains the process of making lime mortar. The tribe watches skeptically as he mixes the mortar. He demonstrates the simple process of laying bricks. He shows them how easily a house can be built. A tribesman tests the wall, finding it soft. The next day, the wall is unbelievably strong. He challenges a warrior to test its true strength. The warrior smashes his bow against the wall, shattering it against the nearly undamaged surface. An elder praises the new homes for their warmth. He tearfully recounts his tribe's tragic history. They lost many to beasts and poisonous plants. The brutal winter claimed even more of their people. The survivors are haunted by their painful memories. Qin Tian promises the elder a warm, safe winter. Meanwhile, the Vikings have been hunting them for a week. Their search leads them to a deadly, impassable swamp. A guard claims the tribe used magic to cross the mists. The leader considers the possibility, sparing the man's life. Unsure of the island's winter, he hesitates to advance. He orders his men to retreat and prepare for the cold. Back at camp, Lynn demonstrates a new skill, making sugar. The tribe marvels at the sweet, magical substance. Qin Tian offers a warrior named Alux a chance to try. Alux struggles with the delicate art of glassblowing. She's determined to try again, impressing Qin Tian. He tasks the tribe with mastering the skill for winter. Qin Tian turns his attention to planning the new camp. He meticulously designs a fortified, self-sufficient village. Jessica surprises him, announcing it's time for dinner. She waited patiently, not wanting to break his focus. The leaders gather for another meal with the tribe, but everyone is getting sick of eating only fish. The chief notices Qin Tian isn't eating his share. He knows their diet is unsustainable and needs a change. He asks the chief if his warriors can hunt wild boars. The chief admits a single boar is fine, but groups are deadly. But Qin Tian isn't interested in just hunting them. He reveals his plan to raise the boars in captivity. The tribe leaders are stunned by this new idea. They realize this means safer food, but it will take years. He explains the long process of domestication for the future. The next day, a sand eagle takes to the sky. It has located their target. The plan is in motion. They watch the sleeping boars from the bamboo forest. With his panda, he leads the tribe into position. He pats his panda, giving the signal to begin. A terrifying roar shatters the forest's silence. The tribe funnels the panicked boars into the trap. A warrior freezes, stunned by the boar's massive size. A brave warrior intercepts the charge with his spear. His powerful strike brings the massive beast down. The tribe expertly corrals the stampeding herd. The boars run blindly into a massive pit trap. The warriors slam the final barriers into place. The entire herd is successfully trapped in the pit. Qin Tian and the tribe celebrate their perfect hunt. He notes one escaped, but it won't get far. He orders them to start lifting the boars out. The tribe works together, hoisting the animals up. A warrior wants to knock a boar out, but Qin Tian stops him. He calmly blindfolds the beast, instantly pacifying it. He explains their new, self-sustaining food source. Back at camp, a lookout announces his triumphant return. Elin and Jessica greet him as he returns. He inspects the new pen built to contain the boars. For days, he leads the tribe on successful hunts. They've captured 21 boars for their new farm. With the forest empty, he calls an end to the hunt. The camp has transformed into a fortified village. He receives a massive point reward for the upgrade. He realizes he needs a new talent for direct combat. Overwhelmed by options, he decides to save his points. Elin's voice snaps him out of his thoughts. Elin's team has already produced over 50 glass jars. With production soaring, he announces their next project. He teaches the tribe the simple art of preserving food. First, they sterilize the jars and fruit in boiling water. The fruit is packed and sealed with sterilized animal skins. A tribesman questions the method, but his faith holds strong. He explains how heat and a tight seal kill microbes. They don't understand, but his mind is on the volcano. He rallies the tribe, explaining their need for iron weapons. The chief assigns bodyguards, but he dismisses the danger. Jessica and Elin bid him a worried farewell. He waves goodbye, leaving the village with his escort. After a day's travel, they make camp for the night. A warrior asks if iron can truly defeat the pirates. Qin Tian shows Nick a pair of iron daggers. She's stunned to learn the blades are made of iron. She recounts how their weapons were useless in battle. With iron, she hopes they can finally fight back. He promises they will forge even better weapons. They finally arrive at the deceptively calm volcanic crater. The heat is intense, but he orders the dig to begin. The tribe works tirelessly, chipping away at the volcanic rock. After 2 hours, they found nothing but worthless stone. The entire day yields no results, but he keeps morale high. That night, they craft new tools to replace the broken ones. The next day, he teaches them to collect morning dew for water. Their efforts yield a small but vital supply of fresh water. Suddenly, a pickaxe strikes something solid in the ground. A warrior cries out, believing she's finally found iron ore. But it's only pumice, a useful but different volcanic rock. Qin Tian rests, frustrated by the lack of pyrite. He outlines a new, systematic strategy to find the ore. For 4 days, they dig across the mountain. A warrior finds another useless rock, but Qin Tian stops him. He inspects the stone, noticing a faint yellow hue. With renewed hope, he orders them to keep digging. The tribe works with a new sense of purpose. Finally, their tools strike the precious pyrite ore. They've discovered a massive vein of iron. That night, he explains this is just the raw material. A warrior smashes the ore, finding nothing inside. Qin Tian explains the ore must be refined with fire. The next day, they build furnaces to begin smelting. The tribe marvels at the first piece of refined iron. He orders them to smelt all the pyrite they have. He decides to forge tools first, not weapons. The molten iron glows, ready for the next step. He pours the liquid metal into a lux's perfect mold. He quenches the new tools in lime water for strength. With iron tools, their mining speed has doubled. A warrior warns Qin Tian of a sudden cold snap. He explains that heavy snow is coming soon. Qin Tian knows they have enough ore for now. His plans are cut short by the approaching winter. He orders the team to pack up and prepare to leave. Weighed down by ore, they begin the slow journey home. That night, they make camp in the forest. The tribe marvels at their new iron tools, but a guard on watch suddenly becomes alert. He grabs his shovel, demanding to know who's there. A massive beast with glowing red eyes lunges from the dark. The guard is instantly cut down by the ferocious attack. Qin Tian unleashes his panda, ordering it to fight. He recognizes the beast, a prehistoric saber-toothed tiger. He warns everyone that these predators hunt in packs. Just then, a second tiger ambushes another warrior. The warrior Ragnar barely blocks the pounce with a plank. Nick leaps to his defense, swinging her iron pickaxe. But the agile beast dodges her desperate strike. A third tiger joins the hunt, they're completely surrounded. Ragnar roars, bringing his iron shovel down hard. The heavy tool smashes into the tiger's skull. Another warrior hurls a flaming torch, driving the second beast back into the woods. The tribe forms a defensive wall, ready for more. Meanwhile, the panda viciously attacks the third tiger. It sinks its teeth deep into the predator's neck. The panda slams the beast against the forest floor. It stands victorious, facing down the final tiger. Qin Tian knows the tigers are cunningly waiting to strike. He tries to use his system, but it's locked. Ragnar feigns fear, letting his shovel fall. The tiger takes the bait, lunging at him, but he dodges, letting the beast crash. He mocks the beast, revealing his clever ruse. The enraged tiger roars, realizing the deception. The tribe closes in, forming a shield wall. With the beast cornered, Ragnar strikes hard. Another warrior presses the attack on the second tiger. A warrior calls out, claiming the final tiger. Just then, a fourth tiger explodes from the darkness. The system unlocks a new talent, Cat's Reaction. The beast lunges, fangs bared and ready to kill. The tribe can only watch, paralyzed with fear. But for Qin Tian, time suddenly slows to a crawl. He activates leopard superspeed, becoming a blur. He slides under the beast, gutting it with his dagger. Ragnar brings his iron shovel down on another tiger. Nick follows up, slashing a beast across the face. Qin Tian moves with impossible grace, ready to strike. The tribe is in awe of his incredible power. Nick realizes he's been holding back his true strength, but the new skill drains him almost instantly. He stops Nick from helping the panda. He says the beast has its pride to uphold. The panda roars, victorious over the final tiger. The next day, their journey home is slow. He sends his eagle ahead to bring reinforcements. With their help, he finally returns to the village. He sleeps for 10 hours, waking up starving. He marvels at how much the camp has changed. Starving, he heads straight for the new kitchen. Jessica greets him, relieved that he's finally awake. He recounts the tiger attack, then asks about the camp. She updates him on the village's construction progress. The tribe has been busy canning, fishing, and raising birds. He orders a halt to all work, surprising Jessica. He reveals their next project, forging iron weapons. The next day, the tribe begins building the forge. Elin realizes his true goal isn't iron but steel. He explains the process of converting pig iron. Elin is completely baffled by the new terminology. He clarifies that carbon content determines its strength. He gives them a quick lesson on metallurgy. A warrior asks why they don't just use the hardest iron. He explains steel is the perfect balance of properties. He reveals his two-step plan to forge the perfect metal. The molten iron flows, ready for the first step. He warns the tribe as they begin the dangerous work. He recalls the ancient methods of steel casting. He details the first ancient steelmaking method. A second method involved layering iron sheets, but he's using a third, more advanced technique. He explains the complex pouring process. He's adapted it into 2 steps for their forge. Meanwhile, Elin and the women have their own task. They're crafting handles and scabbards from bamboo. A key ingredient is fish glue, a grueling process. They squeeze the paste to extract the powerful adhesive. Back at the forge, the metal burns white-hot. Qin Tian gives the signal to begin the forging. Nick holds the steel block as Ragnar raises his hammer. The massive hammer crashes down on the glowing metal. The tribe questions why they aren't using a mold. He explains that hammering purifies the steel further. It will only take 100 or 200 strikes. Ragnar is shocked by the grueling task ahead. Qin Tian clarifies that 150 strikes will be enough. Days pass as the forge rings with the sound of hammers. He inspects the first finished steel ingot, satisfied. With the steel ready, it's time to forge their weapons. He'd already taught Alux a special forging technique. First, they hammer a hole into a block of iron. Then they forge a steel core inside the iron casing. The composite metal is returned to the furnace to bond. Alux expertly hammers the metal into a perfect blade. Next, they coat the blade in a special hardening soil. A warrior asks if the soil makes the weapon stronger. Qin Tian explains the exposed edge will become incredibly hard, but the coated spine remains tough, preventing it from shattering. The clad steel method creates a perfectly balanced blade. It's a legendary technique, the Tang Hengdao. Qin Tian raises the sword, a symbol of their new power. He sets up a test, their steel versus a pirate's blade. He reminds them it's just a spar, not a real fight. Nick faces off against a confident rival warrior. The 2 warriors charge, blades flashing in the sun. Their swords meet with a resounding clang. Jessica worries the test is getting too dangerous, but Elin casually dismisses her fears with a smile. The tribe watches, knowing this is their third duel. Nick leaps over her opponent's desperate swing. He taunts her for daring to fight him up close, but Nick never underestimated his close-quarters skill. Their blades meet, and the pirate's sword shatters instantly. The tribe erupts, stunned by the new weapon's power. She tells him a spear would have been a better choice. Qin Tian steps forward, praising their excellent duel. He asks to inspect both of their swords. He confirms the pirate blade is just brittle pig iron. The tribe debates who is now the strongest warrior. Qin Tian proposes a duel to settle the argument. The chief questions his decision, but he is determined. He needs to test his new skills before facing pirates. He reassures a nervous Nick, telling her to fight hard. The chief tries to prepare a venue, but Qin Tian refuses. He tells Nick to rest and recover her energy. Nick takes her stance, ready for the duel. Seeing her battle focus, he prepares for the fight. She explodes forward, her blade a deadly blur. Her blade stops inches from his face. He activates Cat's reaction, his eyes glowing. He realizes her speed is truly lethal. He parries her next attack with ease. He admits he's no match without his skills. The warriors realize he's just training her. The crowd roars, cheering for Nick to win. Jessica swoons, but Elin roots for her friend. Qin Tian knows his own technique is flawed. He activates Swift Cheetah, going on offense. Nick unleashes a furious dual-wielding strike, but Qin Tian is already behind her, a blur of motion. She's completely stunned by his impossible speed. He presses his attack, blade flashing toward her. He's forced to parry, frustrated by her raw power. The tribe realizes he's only dodging, not fighting back. The chief admits he can't even track their movements. Qin Tian takes a deep breath, his focus sharpening. Nick mirrors his intensity, her eyes burning with resolve. He combines his skills, leaping back with inhuman agility. Their blades meet in a final, decisive clash. The tribe watches, completely stunned into silence. His sword stops just short of her throat. Elin watches in disbelief as Nick is defeated. The crowd erupts, hailing him as the strongest warrior. A tribesman asks when he plans to marry Nick. The question leaves everyone completely speechless. A wedding, the idea hangs in the air. The tribe is already planning the grand celebration. He demands to know why he has to marry her. The chief explains their custom, a duel is a proposal. Qin Tian realizes he's trapped by their tradition, but the tribe insists it's an honor to marry him. The crowd watches, confused by the foreign language. The chief asks if he finds Nick unattractive. Nick accepts his rejection, vowing to leave the tribe. She understood his refusal without a single word. The tribe panics, his rejection is a curse. An elder explains she must now be exiled. But Elin invents a new rule on the spot. The Almighty's chosen can only marry every 3 years. The chief is stunned by this sudden new tradition. Elin declares it will be 2 years before he can marry. She adds that he must marry her and Jessica first. Nick is relieved, realizing he never rejected her. Qin Tian has no choice but to play along with the lie. With the misunderstanding cleared, the crowd disperses. Elin leans in close, demanding a reward for her help. He panics seeing Jessica's furious expression. He makes a hasty retreat to work on new designs. Elin suggests Nick move in, but gets a resounding no. For days, Alux forges new steel weapons for everyone. Elin's team sews thick fur coats for the coming winter. A few days later, the first snow begins to fall. Qin Tian watches the snow, a sight he's never seen before. A voice calls out to him, it's Nick. She greets him, also dressed for the cold. He finds the snowfall beautiful, a peaceful moment. Nick admits snow usually means hunger, but they are prepared. Their quiet moment is suddenly interrupted. Jessica and Elin arrive, teasing the flustered pair. Elin laughs, saying she was only joking with Nick. The children's laughter fills the snowy village. Their high spirits inspire everyone to get back to work. Back inside, Qin Tian focuses on his new designs. He takes a sip from his cup, but something is wrong. He spits out the freezing cold drink in shock. He must first finish his plans for a matchlock and a lathe. His goal, a firearm to even the odds against the pirates. But a perfect gun barrel requires a precision tool, a lathe. The designs are too advanced, he must adapt them. Qin Tian steps out into a sudden, heavy snowstorm. He recalls a lecture about the region's demon winds. The brutal wind covers him in snow almost instantly. He reaches the kitchen, but smoke pours from the door. Voices from inside scream for him to shut the door. He finds the entire tribe huddled around smoky fires. Jessica explains they had to cook inside to stay warm. He realizes they need a new fuel source, charcoal. A warrior asks what charcoal is, fearing more smoke. He explains charcoal burns hot with almost no smoke. He worries about how his pets are handling the cold. He finds the panda sleeping soundly, possibly hibernating. But he reassures them the animals are tough survivors. The next morning, he divides the tribe into 2 teams. One group builds the charcoal kiln brick by brick. The other team chops firewood with their new steel axes. With the kiln built, he orders them to load the wood. Once the fire is burning hot, he seals the smoke outlet. He explains the smoldering process will be done by morning. With that done, he pulls Alux aside for the next project. He reveals his next project, building a gun. He explains it's a musket 10 times stronger than a bow. The design is simple, but it's missing bullets and gunpowder. The women are completely baffled by the new concepts. But first, they must build a lathe for the gun barrel. The women are amazed by their rapid technological advance. The lathe requires precision, a job perfect for Jessica. Alux marvels at the design, calling him a master craftsman. He entrusts the complex blueprints to her care. On the third day, he prepares to open the charcoal kiln. He cracks open the kiln, warning them of the intense heat. After letting it cool, he announces their success. The tribe inspects the strange, hard black logs. He explains it needs wood to ignite properly. They marvel at the warm, completely smokeless fire. He warns them to keep a window cracked for ventilation. The tribe joyfully moves the new fuel into storage. Inside, Jessica and Alux focus on the lathe designs. He sees their intense focus and decides to leave them be. With his team hard at work, he can't be idle. Qin Tian summons 3 of his strongest warriors. They ask what their next great task will be. He smiles, telling them they're making beads. Inside the workshop, they pour molten lead. He begins assembling a strange new device. First, he wraps a metal sheet around a log. Then he hammers the components into place. The result is a heavy, hand-cranked roller. He's built 3 but won't reveal their purpose. Meanwhile, the molten lead is cast into small beads. He adds a brick to the hand-cranked roller. The warriors struggle to turn the heavy device. They ask what they're doing, but he stays silent. He reveals they're making bullets for the musket. The tribe is stunned by the weapon's promised power. A warrior vows to use it to avenge their fallen. After hours of work, he decides it's time. They pour the contents of the roller into a bowl. He inspects the small, smooth lead bullets. With the lab finished, they move the tools inside. He admires his new, well-stocked laboratory. The tribe asks for their next set of orders. He tells them it's time for a well-deserved rest. The tribe is baffled by the idea of a vacation. A warrior asks if they're truly free to relax. The tribe erupts, excited for their first break. But he knows they must prepare for the coming battle. Suddenly, a howl echoes through the snowy night. He identifies the sound, a pack of hungry wolves. 2 panicked warriors rush to find him for help. The tribe gathers, armed and ready for the approaching threat. Nick explains that desperate beasts attack during the harsh winter. Jessica theorizes the cold drove the entire pack to attack. He knows the tribe is vulnerable and refuses to wait for death. He rallies his strongest warriors, leaving the chief to guard the camp. The hunting party charges out, confident in their steel weapons. They move stealthily through the snow, closing in on the sound. A sudden noise puts him on high alert.